Make sure to hit the like. Hey, what's going on, guys? Um, wow, we got a couple people lined up in the queue. Sorry for that abrupt break. What a game. What an interesting and poetic and terrible and all sorts of yikes. Tough loss. Tough loss. The Raptors needed this one really badly. They definitely did. But what do you say about it, right? It's the bench. It's so many things. Um, let's bring on. We're gonna bring on FA and NY4 Raps. We had Ishan in the queue there. Let me just give me a 10, 15 seconds to just set something up. I just had to lose my screen, so just give me 10, 15 seconds to set something up here. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of this loss. I know a lot of people were very quick to say it's the bench, it's this, it's that. Big game for Scotty Barnes, big game for O.G Anunoby, the pair of them combined for 63 points on 31 shots. You can't ask for anything more efficient than that. The Raptors do give crazy great games for DeAngelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Austen Reeves, right? And Dennis Schroder, right? When you walked into tonight, you were thinking, man, Anthony Davis averaging 33 points per game over the last few games, like he's going to go off, right? Didn't happen. Didn't even try to happen. It was crazy. Um, take a quick look at the box score over here. Scotty Barnes, as aforementioned, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists in a game that they lost consistently throughout most of the game. He was like plus 20, plus 18, plus 20 in the plus minus department. In kind of in the fourth quarter, it sort of falls apart. Pascal Siakam continues to struggle. Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet combined for 20 points. 20 points on 22 attempts. Like, you need so much better from your veteran leaders. My God. And 4 minutes for Thaddeus Young. Don't get me started on that. We'll talk about Thaddeus Young. If you watched my pregame sort of film session, one of the things that I said in that pregame film session was no more Thaddeus Young minutes. I understand Nick Nurse may have felt pressed to give him minutes given how badly Precious Achiuwa is playing, but seriously, like, there's no excuse. Like, 4 minutes, and I tell you, those were the four worst minutes that this team played all night. He just got picked on hard. For the Lakers side, I mean, you get nothing from Beasley, right? You get 4 points from him, 1 for 6 shooting, barely plays. But Rui Hachimura really made me eat some humble pie. I was very critical of him. Dennis Schroder plus 32 on the night. He was such an impact player. Picks Fred VanVleet off of the backcourt, misses the free. He was pesky. He was annoying, and he was really good tonight. Austen Reeves, I was just really impressed. His composure and his intelligence, his ability to play within the game. He's got a little bit of craft, burst, and he's got some sass to his game. I really liked what I saw from him. Um, yeah, I mean, and DeAngelo Russell, I have to agree with Jack Armstrong. He has stage presence, man. He really showed up tonight for them. He hit big shots after big shots. The Raptors did have moments in this game where they did lead and it was looking good, for the Raptors. But man, like one of the things I said in the pregame, I expect a big game from Scotty Barnes, and I said I expect the Raptors to win, and then I immediately I felt my nose start to itch, like I had just told a lie, and I was like, I don't really believe the Raptors are going to win this game, and I just said, maybe the Raptors won't win, and they had it, they lost it. In terms of team stats, what sticks out? Well, you know, the Raptors' days of shooting in the low 20s or teens or early 20s for 3-point shooting seem to be over. Consistently getting above the 35% mark, so that's a good thing, I guess. They do shoot 10 for 28, but once again, they give up over 50% from the field, over 40% from three. My God, you got to stop something, right? And the Raptors didn't stop anything tonight. The rebounding, they get, they do out rebound the opponent, 10 offensive rebounds. Chris Boucher, Scotty Barnes, a big part of that. The Lakers get more blocks. I mean, the blocks, steals department, it was relatively close, 17-16. The Raptors aren't used to that. And, the Lakers do turn the ball over a lot more, but, when you shoot this much more efficiently from the field, it doesn't really matter, even though, once again, the Raptors win in the shot attempts department. It doesn't really fully matter, does it? Because at the end of the day, you're just so much less efficient than your opponent. And I think a lot of that comes down to Pascal Siakam airballing layups. Look, I took a lot of crap for those lowlights. I want apologies. I definitely want apologies. Because, man, if you watch those lowlights and you don't see what is present, and I'm going to tell you right now, I spent a lot of today working on an honest trailer, and it's 100% on point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that honest trailer for you guys in the rough cut version after our first caller, okay? And I'll try to, I will definitely re-record it, redo it, make it a lot better, but I want to play it in its rough cut, and I want to get some feedback on it, and I think you guys are going to have, I think it's going to be really cathartic and really funny for some people. But first off, let's start up with NY4 Raps and FA. How you guys doing, man?
Hey, good game. Good game.
Good tank, eh?
Yeah, good
Yeah,
time.
good
Yeah.
tank.
I only wanted us to win because Scotty was on point today, man.
For real.
I think Scotty likes playing against the Lakers.
His mama was in attendance tonight. I mean, she was in
Oh, good.
attendance against the Clippers as well, but I mean, he got this one for her. Big Laker fan growing up, right? Big Laker fan, big Kobe fan. He wore number 8 for parts. He wore number
And
32 in
interesting,
parts.
his first career high was against the Lakers, where he scored 31 points and 17 rebounds in
Yep.
Toronto.
He
And
sees
today,
Lakers, he sees red. I mean, he wants to kill this team. And you know what? Like, I tell you, people who say he's not growing offensively, they're not watching. I mean, my God.
and that's what I was telling Paul during the game, right? That I wanted to start taking that mid range, whether it's turnaround mid range, let them be missing the mid range, better than Pascal shooting all the jump shots, because we need Scotty to grow for us to be a good team.
For sure. I mean, like some of those turnarounds, those 1-foot turnarounds in the paint, I get it. I mean, DeAngelo Russell is not a great defender. Austen Reeves, not a great defender. Dennis Schroder, not a great defender. We're not talking about these moves last year. He just wasn't able to do them. Like, this wasn't really even a part of something that he would try to do last year. Turnaround, fadeaways, like, comfortable. He looked comfortable.
And you're not going to try shooting what you've not worked on, right? That tells you that he's working on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, he's been working on it. First of all, oddly enough, thank you so much for the super chat, man. This team contributes greatly to my seasonal depression. Siakam with the Casper impression in the fourth once again.
Oh my God.
Appreciate you, oddly enough. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. Nice to see K Money in the chat. K Money coming out of the woodwork. Where you been, man? How was your trip? Back-to-back games where 4 carries the load in the fourth. God bless for giving us the 4th pick. For real, man. Like,
I think what this road trip reveals is that, which is good for Toronto, is that Pascal is not a super mass player. Gary Trent, not gonna say much about that. And also, I think they should build the team around OG Scotty Barnes and Jack.
Yeah, man. I mean, it could work. You put some snipers around those guys. It could actually work. You know, maybe get some Austen Reeves. You know, get some Austen Reeves up in Toronto, man. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I mean, like honestly, man. Like, where do you think this game went off the rails, man? Because I mean, Scotty, and OG cannot play better than this, right?
Paul, you're breaking.
can you hear me?
Yeah, sort of. You're a little bit fuzzy.
So I said our bench, the bench.
We can hear you. Maybe you need to go out and come back in.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove you. Come back in, okay? All right,
Yeah.
he's gone. He's gonna come back in. We got Ishan waiting. We got Mario waiting. But Fa, how's your what do you think the Raptors can do better, man? Because look, honestly, like everyone wants to blame the bench. Everyone wants to say, "Oh, you need this, and that." Look, you got Jakob Pertl. You're not gonna tell me Gary Trent Jr. is a scrub, right? No one's gonna tell me he's a scrub. Like this is a guy
Yeah,
who's out.
but what's happening to him in the last few games, right? Missing almost everything. I don't know, like, is this something that's going on up there or something? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But also, its shot selection is so terrible. He's been doing that all year. That's what he's been doing all his career. But now I think when they went to the West Coast, they played against people with size, and
Hmm.
Pascal has been struggling. Like, it just shows like what Pascal normally does when he plays like team like Orlando in the past, right?
Yeah,
Where with the length and everything, he struggles a lot. So,
yeah,
and
that's for sure.
that's what's going to happen when they get to the playoffs. If they get to the plane, that's
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
I mean, look, people want to act like 14 points is 14 points, but if you score your 14 points off of like difficult isos against double teams, and it's self-generated versus someone else is generating it for you, like I don't rate Nick Claxton's offense any more than I rate Jared Allen's offense. There's a lot of ways to get 20 points in the NBA. What I'm very impressed by tonight is how Scotty seemed to get wherever he wanted on the court. It was like
hmm,
he was playing at a completely different pace. Do you know
yes,
what I mean? Like the composure. He was like, I mean, I hate to say it, for the Lakers, that was DeAngelo Russell. That's lottery talent for you, right? I understand DeAngelo Russell has not had a great career so far. He's a one-time All-Star. Probably when he's picked number two, that would be considered a massive disappointment. But this is a dude who, at times he shows you why he was so high, right? It's
Hmm.
moments like this, his composure, that move that he had where he crossed up, and he goes like behind. Like, I mean, geez, that is momentum swinging, and
He, he
that's
he
just
was
talent
just abusing Van Vliet all night, like
in fact,
literally.
he abused Van Vliet all night, and then Andre abused Gary Trent all night. Gary
for
Trent
sure.
was 0 of 9. I
And
don't know.
and also, I don't know what's happening to Ashua lately. He's been
No,
apart from the basketball IQ, right? It just, I don't know.
Yo, for sure. I mean, Mowgli for sale here saying Scotty had a mismatch, so it was easier than usual for him. I don't know if you've seen Scotty Barnes. I don't know if you've met Scotty Barnes, but Scotty Barnes has a mismatch every night. Like, how many guys do you know that could stop this guy in the post that play guard in the NBA? He's starting at two for you. Your
yeah,
other three guys in the front court are Jakob, OG, and Siakam. So they're sticking a guard on him a lot. And I mean,
And
when
I
he's
think
playing
what,
point, you know what I mean? Like he's playing point on those big funky lineups. He's got a guard on him all the time. So I mean,
hmm,
like, how many times have I seen Scotty Barnes with Chris Paul in the post and not get the ball? Like, I mean, you think Chris Paul can stop Scotty Barnes in the post? Are you insane? I remember this one thing. It was 2002, and I was at the ACC. Back then, it was called the ACC, and I was watching Vince Carter warm up. And I remember Vince, and I had this like little brief interaction with him, and I talked to him about like a move that I could implement. And I don't know if you remember this, but he showed me this move where he takes one step back, and like he takes a fadeaway, and the clearance from when he took the step to when he takes the shot is about like 13 feet.
hmm.
That turnaround, the footwork on it, he said that creates you 13 feet. There aren't a lot of guys who can make up that distance before I can get off the shot. it just gives you an understanding that for superstars, everything's about space. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jokic, these guys just create so much space, not only for their teammates, but also for themselves on offense. That's why their
Yeah.
looks are so clean. And what I saw from Scotty tonight, like if he can get that footwork and that bag down, and he can get those repetitions down, he gets in the post, one step back. That's an open 8-footer every time.
Yeah.
Or
And
a
you know,
pass.
in the summer,
Unstoppable.
right? There were videos where he was practicing that move,
Yep.
but he started the season with the injury and stuff like that. So now I think he's trying those moves again. But also tonight, Yakapodo wasn't really crowding the paint as usual, right? So that gives Scott the space to get in there.
I think that's true. Yeah. I think Scotty initiated the offense a little bit more. I liked you know what, Siakam didn't have a great game, but I'm not gonna spend the entire post game trashing him for it. Because unlike when he doesn't have great games, he didn't force it tonight. He
That's true.
took a lot of shots in rhythm, and so did Van Vliet. And they saw that OG and Scotty had it going, so they gave them the ball. This is all I've asked for all year. Now, if the bench could have
Exactly.
shown up and been halfway decent tonight, you get
Who
this
would have
win.
won this game?
Right.
Yeah.
100% you want to win this game, right? But at the end, what I want people to acknowledge is that this type of night for OG and Scotty could have happened 10 times this year already.
Always.
You
Always.
know? For sure. I mean, and it's just difficult when a guy goes up and down the court, 6, 8, 10, 12 times and doesn't touch the ball, and then you throw them the ball. So guys who constantly touch the ball always are in rhythm, and guys who don't touch the ball, you often see like when players go to the free throw line, there will sometimes be a player lined up in the rebound, and he'll just go and try to touch the ball. The ball has energy, right? So you want to OG is never healthy. Here's something I want you to do, my man. Con, please go and check O.G. Anunoby games played last 3 years. Go check Siakam games played. Go check Fred VanVleet games played, and tell me
Yeah,
if that narrative is fair.
exactly. And Con, look at the defense OG is giving the team. Defense, offense, every day. OG is the only player in that team that actually comes in 100% every day. So, Con, go check out about
100%,
OG.
man. I mean, god damn it, OG.
And,
The
and
work that he did on
look at the road trip, right?
AD.
AD, OG got old AD, OG got it and Joe Kick, OG got it Bradley Bill twice, right? Look at all the
Yeah,
folks he's got it, and they all had like really terrible games against OG getting there.
exactly. And besides that, you know how much mileage OG puts on his leg when he guides these people? Come on.
Yo, for sure. That's 100% true. I mean, this guy, like, I will never forget. It was Larry Kane who mentioned it in one of the community posts, and he was just like, every time I watch OG Anunoby, he is dripping with sweat, and it's not a medical condition. He just works so freaking hard. He's working so goddamn hard, man. He fronts the post.
Exactly.
He's rotating. He's rebounding. He boxes out even though he doesn't grab the rebound half the time, so you don't see it in the stat sheet. This guy's a workhorse, man, and
Yeah,
he deserves some fucking respect from this fan base, from this team, from this coaching
yeah,
staff.
exactly.
I cannot watch another game where he gets 6 shot attempts as he stands open, waving his hands up and down it's so insanely frustrating for me to watch him and to see him do what he did tonight. Are you telling me, like, apart from Siakam's 52, is there a more offensively like impressive game that Siakam's put up this year than what OG Anunoby did tonight?
Exactly.
It's very similar, to me. I think they're both second options. I
And at the
think
same time, while playing defense as well.
while playing defense. So yeah, so to all those people who say like, oh my God, it's all that energy burned. Yeah, try guarding Anthony Davis on one end and going 11 for 11 to start the game on the other end, while
Exactly.
banging in the post and shit, man, setting screens. I just Scotty's career high overshadows this 32 points. Big Magic fan growing up, putting up 32 points in the building that Magic once played in is kind of crazy. Well, it's not in the Lakers arena, right? It's kind of poetic, and I think it'll overshadow what was honestly probably one of the games of OG's career, and really clutch, really needed. But I think to those who say, oh well, Scotty doesn't show up, OG doesn't show up. Well, tonight, they showed up, they did their best.
Yeah.
and your top two guys didn't, right? They turned the ball over. They were loose with the ball. They were loose defensively. They were leaking oil all over the place.
All over the place. Then your sixth man, Gary Trent, 0 of 9.
Yeah, tough, tough, tough,
I
tough,
think I
tough
think I
loss.
think the good news is that we're 11th from the bottom, and we're just one and a half game away from the sixth position for the sixth pick. Hopefully,
Anthony Block, Cason Wallace. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that late lottery place that look hella good to me. And lottery talent is lottery talent. Like you're seeing it right now, right?
exactly what I was
Um,
telling for. Exactly,
yeah,
you can go wrong, and we need lottery talents on this team.
you definitely do. I don't know where this team goes from here. I mean, they're between a rock
And
and a hard place.
maybe if you can trade Pascal in the offseason, you can get maybe some more picks and young
Jeez,
players.
I don't see teams lining up to grab him right now. But I mean, honestly, you're in such a weird place right now because you're starting to look at like the teams ahead of you just pulling away, right?
Yeah,
Every team ahead of you won tonight. The one
so,
team
yeah,
behind you lost
exactly.
tonight. Washington lost tonight, but Atlanta won. Miami won tonight. So Brooklyn won, right? So
hmm
anyone hoping that we're gonna catch Brooklyn, so sixth is like like get it out of your head. It's not happening. So
It's not
Exactly.
happening
We
you're
anymore
don't have we
because
don't have the games. We don't have the number of games to make it happen. And look at it. Look at our schedule. Our schedule ahead of us is tough.
it's very tough. You got Denver
Yeah.
coming up again. Like I mean, these were the winnable games. Like you lose a game to Washington, that was winnable, and
hmm
probably a must win.
Yeah.
The Lakers without LeBron, that was
Clippers,
winnable.
even Clippers was winnable.
Clippers was winnable too. I agree. That team has
Utah was winnable, but that's another
no,
story.
you
Denver.
what's
Denver,
so
I mean,
super
Denver, that's another story. Denver, that was the coaching.
for
I mean,
sure.
what
That was a
happened?
schedule loss.
That
But
was
I mean,
eight over five, 8 players versus 5 every
one
time.
one thing that was I mean, look, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the game started to slip away in Denver before the Scotty Barnes ejection, in my opinion. And I like watching Scotty Barnes say, "You're a cheater. You're a cheater. You're a cheater." I admire him for it. I get it, but I mean, there's a very good chance that they don't toss him out and they lose by 1 point less. But I don't think Jokic is going to allow his team to lose at home to the Raptors, personally. The second thing that I don't think is talked about enough is the Clippers' defense is so goddamn awful that you cannot muster a 40% against that team is ridiculous. I mean, De'Aaron Fox dropped what, 44 on them?
hmm
Like the Sacramento Kings put up 173, 176, 177. It was crazy. You cannot muster up a decent offensive performance where you crack 40%, which is just barely league average. Like you can't even get league average efficiency against one of the worst defensive teams. I mean, tonight you go up against a decent defensive team, and your so-called leaders, they struggle. Two guys ball out of their minds. You're not. I mean, let's be honest. Like betting odds next 14 games, you're not getting another game like this from Scottie and OG on the same night
No,
ever.
you're not.
Like this is the rarest of rare, and I mean this is the road, right?
I mean, if the bench had played better, we're not even, if they had given us at least 10%, we would have won this game.
I agree. I agree
Yeah.
for sure. But I think K Money brought up a good point. It's like you're banking on Gary to save the season. I don't think that that's fair. I mean, are we banking on Precious Achua, Precious Achua, making the most of his 8 to 10 minutes a night at this point? Is that what's gonna solve the season for us? I mean, there was a tweet earlier. I released it on the Instagram page, and I'm gonna read it for you guys right now because I thought it was very interesting. And it was from the low. It was from the Low Post. So Zach Lowe's podcast, and it reads as follows: Howard Beck on a comment an official with an organization within the organization the Toronto Raptors made regarding trading for Jakob Poeltl. Quote: The Raptors front office still totally believes in this group, and acquiring Poeltl was a vote of confidence in what this group can still do, but the players don't. Via the Low Post. So, look, I had not verified this. I did not hear it myself, but Kareem, your goat, shared this with me on, and I have no reason to believe it's not true. And I just thought that it was very interesting because that is exactly what I'm seeing on the court, right? You see guys like Gary, Precious, right,
Yeah.
and I don't think this has helped them at all.
They didn't have
At all. They were thriving. They were doing well. Gary was
they
doing great.
yeah.
Precious was doing
Precious
great.
was doing great as a starter.
God damn it, yes he was. And there was so much talk about how he needs to be starter. OG was doing great as a frigging, first option, second option until he got relegated to fifth option so that Fred VanVleet could run his fucking pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl so he could rack up his assists. I encourage anybody, who's got insomnia after this loss, after we wrap up this post-game live, to go and check out the film session that I did in which I explain why the Fred VanVleet, Jakob Poeltl pick and roll only helps Fred VanVleet and Jakob Poeltl. And yeah, of course, it's very efficient and it leads to high-quality offense for those two. But what it does for the other three players that share the court with them, usually it's not great. So that is just my opinion. Anyway, you guys got any final thoughts?
So what do you think about Nick Nurse putting in Young?
I don't like it. I don't like guys coming in for 4 minutes. I thought he got burned literally within 10 seconds of coming in.
Exactly.
Austen Reeves. And look, honestly, I know the Raptors probably don't understand this at this point, but it's pretty obvious to me that talented players don't need a lot to get going. Okay? Really talented players like DeAngelo Russell, you need to keep them on clamps. Like I know that sounds crazy because he's averaging like 12, 13 points per game.
38 minutes, you have to keep them because once they get going, you can't stop them.
Exactly. And Austen Reeves, Dennis Schroder, these guys are all rhythm guys. Like you clamp them up for 5 minutes, they're out of rhythm for the rest of the game. You give them an open layup, you get them to the line, you get them an open three, they start feeling themselves. They're like, oh, this is my night. That's how role players operate. The problem with the Raptors is that because your stars, your so-called stars are all basically role players, you think that's how everybody operates. No, stars don't need that shit. Stars, every night is their night. But role players, they get it going. They start feeling themselves early. And this is why role players dominate the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, because that's how they operate. That's how role players have always operated throughout NBA history. I can go back 30 years. That's how role players were 30 years ago. That's how they are today. It's the psychology of rhythm, right? You start getting going, you start seeing that basket. Like talk to any player who's played the game at any level, like Division I, Division II, whatever. You see that ball go in twice, the basket feels big, right? You start taking shots. Now, even when you miss one, it's still your night. You got it in your head, it's your night. When you're a star, every night is your night. Kobe, he can go 0 for 10 and probably finish the game like 14 for 26.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I'm
that's star
percentage down.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and nice to talk to you again.
Good night.
Yeah.
All right,
Good
thanks.
Good night, guys. Good night, guys. All right. Y'all want to see the Honest trailer? Y'all want to see it? I wanna pull it up. It's gonna be funny. I think you guys are gonna laugh. I think you get a kick out of it. Please don't. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna give it 10 seconds to just load up. I promise it's pretty funny, and I just want to say this is in a rough stage. And what I want right now is feedback from you guys. If it's, because honestly, bro, like I want this shit to go viral. Like I really do. Like I want this video to be hella successful. I want to do a series of this. I think funny content is, it's an interesting take, like an interesting direction for this channel. And I want to introduce some funnier content. So I just want to, so give me feedback. Does this part go too fast? This part go too slow? Just give me feedback on that. And then we're going to get to the rest of the calls. We got Ishan, we got Black Nubian, probably calling in for the first time. We got Coach Mo, we got Mario. So, hang with us. It's 1:35 in the morning, but it's let's have a fun night out of this. It's not doom and gloom here right now. Scottie played well. OG played well. This channel is about supporting those two players as much as it is anything else. So, we're not going to let a loss rain on our parade. All right. Okay. I'm going to pull myself off. Let this play. I hope it doesn't lag. It's a pretty big.
From the company that brought you 25 years of dish and the worst cell phone reception in North American history comes a team so dysfunctional that this is their leader.
Ben Taylor was terrible. You just want to be and
you got 15,000 people calling you an ass.
It's a lot of bleeps.
Watch as a group of 6'9" non-shooters attempt to overcome their deficiencies in the modern NBA by dribbling, taking contested twos, offensive rebounding, more dribbling, airballing clutch shots, screaming for fouls like you were shot, standing 40 feet from the basket waiting for passes, not moving without the basketball, and all right, God, I get it. And when it all goes to hell, trading their future draft assets for one of the worst shooters in NBA history. Coached by the man who can't stop complaining and looks like that guy from Operation, watch as this woefully misguided team, which once had championship aspirations, fights for the play-in as they give up a shot at a much-needed generational talent for a chance to be swept by one of these guys. Watch as two non-max players hunt for max contracts as perfectly talented bench players collect DMPCDs. Watch as the team's top two talents are relegated to setting screens and standing in corners as a highly overrated isolation scorer pads his stats from the first half, only to disappear in the fourth quarter every single game. As a 21-year-old who half the fan base swears can't even play basketball, leads failed comeback after failed comeback as one of the 5 most clutch players in the NBA.
Starring the real Slim Shady, Freddie Maguire, Pascal Shakim, Nick Nursery, O.G Anunoby doesn't shoot to miss, the artist formerly known as Gary Trent. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Don't tell Scotty.
Doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
Precious turnovers. Joe Not Exotic. Christian the Enforcer. The uncle you don't invite to Thanksgiving. The company man. Today, Junior. Patience is a virtue. Boy genius. This prick. And free Jeff Doughton. Jurassic World. Lost in Toronto.
Okay, what'd you guys think? I got to make it so much better for this shit to go viral, but like, if it's too fast, too slow, I mean, there's so much. It's a rough cut. I just wanted to show it, but yo, like, I feel like for me to get this message that I'm trying to get across about like what's gone wrong this season, I can't be angry about it. So one of the ways to do this is to be funny. So if you have any tips, make sure when this video goes live to just post or let me know now. Like if there's something, you know, that you would fix. One thing I want to fix is I want to get my voice right. Like I think it was kind of stupid. Like I think I sounded kind of stupid. So I want to get like that honest trailer voice. I don't know if you guys watch honest trailers, but I'm a big fan. That's good, yo. I'm glad. More Doug Smith slander. Yo, I think I need a little bit more. I feel like that video could legitimately go viral. So like there's a part of me that wants to make it at least 4 minutes so that I can actually monetize it and make some money off of it, but yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think like the vocals are pretty weak. I mean, I said it out loud for my girlfriend. Like when I was recording it, she heard me and she's like, it sounds better when you're saying it live than, you know, when, yo, for sure. More in on Bell and Rogers, eh? Yo, I think we need to call it the N1 mixtape as Pascal Siakam creates his personal N1 mixtape. You need to put the Michael Grange Fred love affair on it. Yo, for sure. I agree. I think like I could definitely summarize the Scotty doesn't work hard part like a little bit more. I didn't want to make it too long, but Vince, can you do the you know honest trailers? Can you do that voice better than I can? I have no idea. I mean, like your voice definitely got to be better than mine. But basically what I'm saying is I have a feeling this video could go seriously viral. I gotta address this, Arima babe. I don't fucking care about subs. I mean, I know I care, like in a sense, like I care. I don't want to say that and then people take it the wrong way. I care about subscribers, but if I'm getting subscribers, let me put this the right way. I want to do what is honest and true and in service of whatever the fuck I'm trying to do in this world. And that is to support good basketball and support expanding the knowledge and experience of basketball. If I get subscribers while doing that, great. If I lose subscribers while doing that, also great. It doesn't matter to me. Does it matter? Like it's kind of awkward though. Obviously, like Vince and I, when we did that post game at Real Sports, we were celebrating 5,000 subscribers, and a lot of people are like, you lost 25 subscribers below five. I get it. It's just a weird number to go down from, but it's all good. It's all good. Don't worry. At the end of the day, it's a drop in the hat. Like come next year at this time, we're talking 15, 20K subs. Easy. All right, let's get up to next caller. We got Ishan. Ishan, what up, man?
Hey,
What's
Rob.
going on? How's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great.
I love the trailer there, Rob. That was amazing.
Do you like it? That was good. I'm glad.
If it gave me, I don't know if you watched The Dictator.
Yes.
It gave me a lot of those vibes with some of the jokes there, but it was very, very good, Rob.
Sweet. I definitely want to improve the voiceover. But yeah, what'd you think of the game tonight, man?
I loved it. It was the best loss of the season, Rob. About a week or two ago, I would have been deflated with this loss, but seeing the teams ahead of us win and us lose, looking at the standings, we're getting to top 10 pick range, and that's all I could have asked for. Scotty Barnes' career night, O.G Anunoby masterclass. One more game like closer to Fred VanVleet being off the team. Pascal Siakam maybe being traded. This was amazing. It was amazing seeing Scotty Barnes' development off the dribble. Today's game really highlighted that, in my opinion. He looked really comfortable off the bounce. Sometimes it's just him getting in the post and just doing that. But he got there himself a good bunch, sawed off the mismatches, and, he looked really good. Kobe-esque at times with the fadeaway.
He grew up a big Kobe fan, so yeah.
The one thing I do want to bring up, though, is if this team is serious about competing, Nick Nurse should be fired for doing whatever he threw out there to start that fourth quarter. If this team is seriously trying to compete, I'm okay with losing because, like the draft and everything, right? But if this is like a coach that is actually trying to get his team to climb the standings, what the fuck was that? Sorry for my language, but like, what was that lineup that he put out there? He put out Scotty Barnes with nothing. Like, he put out Scotty Barnes with Gary Trent Jr., who played awful tonight. Like, he was terrible tonight. Chris Boucher was probably the second best player in that 5-man lineup tonight. That 5-man lineup to start the fourth quarter is what lost us this game. And I understand that Nick Nurse played the starters a heavy dose in the third quarter, so they needed a breather. But we knew from the way the game was going that the bench just was not giving us that spark. So you're in like games right now where you don't have time to really necessarily rest your starters because these are must-win games. So if it's not working, why are you like letting that? Like, what? Like, Thad Young should not have been in the game. Like, I can go off on a tangent about Thaddeus Young because he's washed. He is closer to Udonis Haslem in terms of like his playing level right now than he is to anyone else.
I'm sorry, I'm dying. I'm just K-Money with the funniest comment of the night. He said, this guy Nurse said, yo, Scotty carry us, no shame.
Dude, it was really bad. Like, I was seeing, like this is by far the worst game Gary Trent Jr. played as a Raptor.
Yo, I don't know why this comment is killing me so hard.
It was really bad, man. Like, I was laughing watching that lineup. It was like, yeah, Scotty, you got me, man. Like, yeah, you got me. Like, I don't know if you saw that one sequence, Rob. Scotty Barnes kicks it out to Boucher. He was diming him up, and Chris Boucher's looking at Gary Trent Jr. in the corner, pump faking it a couple times, and turns over the ball. Like, I don't know what he was doing, man. Like, there's an unserious team trying to compete. What I suspect moving forward in the next few games here is, like, if we lose against Denver, which we will, that's a loss. I'm already penciling that in as an L, right? If we lose the next few games, which I'm hoping we do, I expect the management to tell Nick Nurse, all right, Pascal Siakam is only playing 25 minutes a night.
Nah,
From
come on, man. Get
no,
out of here.
no.
All right, Khan, by the way, this clutch super chat here, $100. We received 333 Taiwanese dollars in our chat earlier. I freaked because I was like, what? 333. It was Taiwanese dollars. Very much appreciated that. Very much appreciate this. You I believe you, Khan right here. I know a lot of people in the chat are going back and forth with Khan. Khan's got at me a couple times for my Pascal Siakam takes. I will, however, say that, Khan holds a bit of a record here as our biggest super chat, like single super chat in Pensar basketball history with 250, and balling out again with 100 here. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Always appreciate that. And we'll just have to agree to disagree on the Siakam stuff.
You think
If you,
those
I'll tell you this much right now. You pay me $1,000, I'll be a Siakam fan for a day. I'll tell you that right now. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't be. I'm not
think,
even
like-
joking. You couldn't pay me $1,000 to kiss Siakam's ass right now. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And I'm glad the trailer made you laugh.
I think if like we lose the next few games here though, Rob, I think for sure like some of the starters, like Pirtle, actually no, like Pirtle, Fred, and Gary will probably keep their minutes going because they're in contract years, and so I can't see like a coaching staff being like staggering their minutes too much. But like for OG or like Pascal here, I think their minutes might drop here as
Yeah.
they try to preserve some trade value or whatever it might be. So I don't know what it is, but I mean, I'm hoping Chicago passes us in the standings. They're like I think a game or a game and a
Yeah.
half behind us. So
Yo, I got it. Yeah, for sure, man. Like I don't think Chicago's passing us because I think they got their own problems. But
for sure.
um,
Hopeful,
we,
though.
we have the tougher schedule. I wouldn't put it past us to miss this out. I do want to say though, Scotty Barnes, if your dad's watching, whoever's watching, Brian, if you're watching, you just convey this message to Scotty. Just let him know that his bad games are legitimately costing me money at this point because every single time he has a good game, our super chat stickers fly off the wall. I'm not kidding. Like the last, like January, he was balling out in January. Do you remember our super chats in January? It was crazy, right? So Scotty Barnes, do your biggest fan in the world a favor and just keep balling out, please. It helps the super chats, it helps the channel growth. So, when you let's be honest, you start averaging 12, 13 points per game for like a month and a half, we start losing a lot of subs and people start thinking I'm crazy. So, like let's do it.
It was my Super Bowl today, Rob. It was my Super Bowl saying Scotty Barnes succeed and us losing. That was like the perfect combination. I was like, this is
For sure. For sure.
But,
All right. Scotty dad said he was going to play good tonight. Yo, for sure. I said it too. Scotty's, it is interesting though. His dad called it. His mom was in attendance tonight. Shout outs to his mom, repping Raptors gear, both nights.
I really wish he got a triple-double tonight. He was really close. Like, I was monitoring the stats throughout.
Yeah.
Hoping, but, he played amazing. I can't complain. He played amazing.
He played amazing. All right, Ishan, thanks a lot. And by the way, no more 3-game straight predictions coming from you, right?
Their next 3 games, Rob.
Oh no! All right. Okay.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Cheers. All right. Next up, we got Coach Mo. Then we got Mario. Then we got Black Nubian. Coach Mo, hang tight for 5 minutes. I'm going to go to Black Nubian first. Black Nubian, what's up, man? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
I think you're on mute. Yeah, what up, man?
Yeah, StreamYard was kind of off when I tried to connect it. It crashed a few times.
Mm-hmm.
How do I sound?
Sound fine. What's up?
First time caller. Longtime Raptors fan. Well, the Bulls fans first. Became a Raptors fan when they first started in the 90s at the Sky Dome.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Sky Dome.
Awesome.
And they've come a long way, right? But what I'm seeing this year, it reminded me of the Bulls management from the Derrick Rose years up until today.
Do you say the Bulls management from the Derrick Rose years?
Like after Derrick Rose got injured,
Mm-hmm.
they just start making bad drafts. Like I don't want to think about those years. Like can you besides remember Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler?
That was way before Derrick Rose, my guy. Way before. What are you talking about? 7
No,
years
sorry,
before.
my bad, my bad. I'm just saying like
You talking about the Bulls management around the Michael Jordan era?
no. When they drafted Eric Curry, Tyson Chandler.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was 2000.
well,
That was 2001. That was the 2001 draft. Eddie Curry went number 4. Tyson
yeah,
Chandler went number
I
2.
think
They traded Elton Brand. Just to give everyone a brief little history lesson here, they traded Elton Brand away for Tyson Chandler. So they got 2 top 4 picks. I believe the year prior to that they had drafted, the year prior to that they had drafted Jamal Crawford, Marcus Spicer. And also
yeah.
something that people may not know is that initially Kwame Brown, 2000, was drafted by the Washington Wizards in order to be traded to the Bulls for Elton Brand. That was the initial idea. So just an FYI.
I just have a brain for, like I left after when it got bad, and I became a full-time Raptors fan.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you out. I know you're first time caller, so we're gonna take it easy on you. But you are off by like 8 years or 7 years.
Like I said, like I had PTSD, man.
Oh, you had okay.
No,
amazing.
I'm saying from like I don't want to end up like that as a Raptors fan. It seems to head in that direction. Like I'm missing years, right? For that, right?
Yeah, you're missing like 6.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, shit! You're not missing 6 years, bro. You're missing way more than 6 years. Derrick Rose. Hold on. What year was Derrick Rose drafted? Derrick Rose draft 2009. No. What am I talking about?
After you LeBron.
2008.
Right? Is he before or after LeBron?
Derrick Rose.
It was after LeBron, right?
Way after LeBron.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So,
D Rose. Hold on. Someone tell me. D Rose is like 2010, right? Like I mean, I'm not losing my mind. 2008. 2008, right?
I think it was before. I can't. Should be before 2010. Because he was a young MVP.
Yeah, 2008, bro. 2008.
Yeah,
the year after that was the DeMar DeRozan draft, which was 2009.
Okay, yeah. I don't mind being called out, man. Like you don't understand, that was a rough period of time as a fan.
All right, so what is your point? You think that the Raptors are reminding you of that period of time?
It's like
which is basically the post Jordan, way before Derrick Rose, because prior to Derrick Rose they drafted Luol Deng, which was a great draft pick.
Yeah, like I understand. Like they're just trending in a direction that the future don't look bright unless they decide to
What
change.
do you want them to do? What do you want them to do?
Number one, Fred gotta go. Nick gotta go.
Okay. Then what? I mean, can I be honest for a second though? As big a critic as I am of Fred VanVleet, you do realize he's one of your only shooters on the court.
No,
right?
and I get that, right? Like I'm saying, like okay, I'm not saying I'm sure they can trade Pascal for pieces, but I hope they can, because I don't see a fit between Scottie and Pascal at any given time on the court, especially with Jakob there, right?
So you prioritize keeping Jakob, re-signing Jakob over keeping Pascal? Because I mean, like the concept is pretty similar, right? Sorry, the concept is pretty simple, which is you have a mismatch of pieces, one too many of earlier in the film breakdown. I wanted to talk about a chess analogy that I thought of, and I thought about an end game where you had nothing but the same square bishops. To anyone who plays chess out there, imagine you had an end game where you had 6 dark square bishops. That's kind of what the Raptors are like. They just have a whole bunch of pieces that kind of get in each other's way.
Yeah.
It's sort of once you have 6 of those, it becomes kind of like the returns become diminishing.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Jakob trade, by the way. Like I'm just saying, like you said, the pieces don't fit, right? So addition by subtraction is the only thing I can see that can fix this.
All right. Yeah, no, look, I mean, you're speaking my vibe, right? Like, I feel that way too. I just think, it's complicated now with Jakob in the fold, right? I think this team just has
a draft pick gone.
and a draft pick 2024 gone. It's also just, I mean, it kind of changes what you can do. Like I think Scottie's a really good player.
Yeah.
I think OG's a really good player. But if you start to like tear down everything for draft picks, I mean,
I know.
you're not going to be making the play in next year. So you're
No,
giving up a
no.
lottery pick.
No, I'm not saying trade them for draft picks, right?
You want players back.
Yeah, like players that fit, like like glue pieces that fit.
Okay.
Like yeah.
Yeah, let's close this chat out with give me a target. Who you're talking about trading Fred. You're talking about trading Pascal.
Well, Fred's
Give me
a
an
free
idea
agent. Fred's gonna option out, right? He's gonna opt out, right? So it's
he's going to
basically a
opt out, and
Yeah.
hopefully you can sign and trade him. Although I have my doubts,
I
but
don't
okay.
think,
So
I don't think so.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
either.
think.
All right, so we lose Fred for nothing. We possibly
Yeah.
lose Gary for nothing because he's pissed off. He's coming off the bench now.
Yeah.
Potentially, you're thinking about trading Siakam. What do you want for him?
A shooter, a bench piece, a draft pick. That's probably all you can get. I'm just being real.
What's the main piece you want back? Give me a name.
I mean, like, okay, the only team I can see him really fit on right now is the Trailblazers, and
Shaden Sharp.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, they traded Josh Hart already.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really see another team that would give up much for Siakam unless they really believe in him. Like, I'm
All
just being honest.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks a lot for calling in. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your first time call. I hope I didn't give you too hard a time.
No,
about the Derrick
man.
Rose stuff.
You're a pretty straight shooter, funny guy. I don't complain, man.
I'm a funny guy. I'm not a fun guy though. I wish I was a fun guy like Kawhi. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Peace, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Coach Mo, how you doing?
Living my best life.
Living your best life, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Yo,
First
this is
thing I wanna
crazy. First of all, 209 people at 2 a.m. You guys are goated for life. That's awesome. Spit, man. Like,
Okay. Listen. Do you wanna say you were wrong about something you said last week? No, last chat.
Bro, I'm wrong all the time.
Okay.
What did I say?
I don't want Scottie taking mid-range shots.
I still don't want to take mid-range shots, but I like the mid-range. This is not mid-range shots. This is like post, like clear, wide open shots. That's different.
Some of them were not with. They didn't start with him backing down. They were just straight. Man, he has that. He has that Kawhi Leonard. I'm getting separation whenever I want.
Yeah, for sure he does. He does. Like tonight. I mean, granted. I mean, let's be real here. Kawhi did this against Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons. Scottie's doing this against Dennis Schroder. So let's be real.
No. I am being real. He put his shoulder into Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt had to just reach and grab. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Facts.
I understand guards are guarding him. I've seen Kawhi Leonard put his shoulder into LeBron James and get a shot off. Barnes is built different. He's built like a tank.
You know, Brian talked about Scottie being like Kawhi with court vision. That's a scary fucking. Kawhi, every time I watch Kawhi play, I always think to myself, what if this guy could really pass? Because he still can't do it. He's still a somewhat like he's behind Paul George as a playmaker. He's way behind LeBron. He's way behind those guys. But imagine if you could pass.
He'll never be as good as Barnes is right now as a playmaker. He won't. He'll never be. And I coach kids. Right away, you can see. Like, there was a kid we saw 2 weeks ago, and the passes he was making, I already knew half. There are guys in the NBA who couldn't make passes that kid was making, and he's in middle school.
No.
I'm dead as serious. The balls are hitting kids in the face.
When you say guys in the NBA who can't make those passes, who are we talking about? Like, we're talking about like the worst. Okay, all right. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
There are guys in the NBA who can't make a pass to save their life.
So let me clarify this. This guy can make passes at his level that guys at the NBA cannot make at their level, correct?
Yes.
You're not saying that the NBA guys couldn't come into your middle school and kill everybody and score like 500 points, right? All right. Okay, I got you.
It's scary. But I want to address some of the things someone said about Siakam being a top 3 number 2. It was a guy named Lane. Dude, when I listened to that, I nearly fell off my chair. I was like, what is this guy talking about?
Where do you think he is?
Well, first of all, this is all referencing his role in the 29 title team, right? This is all going back because he's done it. He was a different player back then. Like, he was running the floor hard. He was giving you energy. He was defending at a high level. He was shooting better from three, but it was all catch and shoots, and it was mostly from the corner. He was more of an unknown player who like came out of nowhere and won most improved player. Like Draymond in the finals even said he had to take him more seriously. There really wasn't a scouting report on him. The spin moves worked every single time. He had so much room to work with since he always played with four guys that could shoot. And lastly, he had zero leadership responsibilities. He had zero pressure to be the man. He really had zero pressure to be the second guy. He was the fourth playmaker. I actually checked the playoffs assist totals for the players. Lowry averaged 7, Kawhi averaged 4, Gasol averaged 3, Pascal was at about 2.75, and Fred was about at 2.6. Like, if you factor in leadership, IQ, playmaking, defense, and scoring, he was the fourth most important player. If you only factor in raw total numbers, point totals, he was the second most important player. But the thing is, Pascal has gotten better in some areas since the title. We all can see it. But he also has regressed in some areas, right?
Yes, he has, defensively.
I remember watching Pascal during that playoff run in the year before and thinking to myself, this dude might be the best conditioned athlete in the league. Like, he doesn't get tired, and he plays 37 minutes a game. Even 100%. Jack Armstrong once said it. And now he's just always tired, apparently. He's just always tired. And you talked about it before about, well, why is he tired? He's not like today. He never touched Anthony Davis. He's never given hard matchups on defense. He barely rotates on defense. He never moves off the ball. He doesn't move off the ball. He just shoots like he goes one-on-one. Like, there's no reason why he's tired. He missed 10 games in November. He just came off the All-Star break. What is he carrying? We're 4 games below 500 with him. We're 500 without him. What is
Would you agree that to some extent the Raptors bent backwards to cater to Kawhi?
Yes, I think they did.
I think they did too. And while we can all argue that, it was new territory for everybody. We had never had a player since Vince, really, who was on that level. You'd never had a LeBron in his prime. You never had, 2001 Allen Iverson. You never had, 2006 Kobe. You missed out on 2003 Tracy McGrady because you lost them. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, this was new territory for this management team. This was new territory for our city. We didn't know how to do it. And so we did what, a lot of people do in a new situation. We played timid, and we bent, and we didn't want, we played nice. Okay, let's just be honest. We played really nice. Never let the media, criticize him. Never let the media say anything about, are you coming back? Are you not coming back? We didn't, basically took Doris Burke asking him literally after he won the finals what he's going to do about it for me to hear that question. Mm-hmm. We load managed him. Mm-hmm. We allowed him to take defensive plays off. He did not guard the best matchup a lot. We saved him up for the playoffs because we knew it was at stake. I think that there's a lot of players who observed the treatment that Kawhi got and said, okay, that's how we treat star players in Toronto. Now I'm your star player. Now treat me that way. Mm-hmm. I think that, I've noticed the shift in Siakam basically since Kawhi left. And I think that may actually have something to do with it.
But, like, being a number 2, like, it means you complement the number 1, right? So it's like Pascal's not a floor spacer. He's not really good off the ball, or at least he hasn't been in years. His defense has fallen off a cliff. He isn't a high IQ player. There's no real leadership skills. And the thing that's confusing about Pascal is he's not as versatile as you may think he is. Like, he can't play the 5. He's too thin. He's never guarding, like, Ayton or Turner or Jokic or Embiid. Like, they never put him on those because it'd be disastrous, right? That's Barnes and OG. It's just like he doesn't make quick decisions.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, what number 2? And that's the thing. I'm just like, teams see what you and I see, and they don't rate him high, Siakam. Neither do the players around the league. Like,
no, they don't.
Pascal's not really coveted his value isn't that high, and it keeps going down every day. He's closer to a max contract. I remember the Nets. There was a report that the Nets tried to pair Siakam with KD to make KD stay, and KD said, "Yeah, I'm out of here." Like when this season was falling apart and the league thought there was going to be a fire sale, they knew Barnes was off the table, so no one bothered asking about him. But all they wanted was Fred and OG.
I'm gonna drop a gem for you right now. Okay, so
no one asked. There was no rumors about Siakam. The whole team is potentially for sale, and all they asked is about OG and Fred. Let that sink in.
Okay, fair enough. So a couple of days ago, I was feeling the heat of the Siakam shit, and I talked to a friend of mine who's played against Pascal Siakam at least 20 times over the last 5-6 years. He's played in the East a couple times, and I asked him, like, do you guys rate him? Like, do you seriously scout him? And first he went all political on me, and I promise not to share his name, so I'm not going to share it, but he went all political on me. He's like, oh yeah, he's a hell of a player. He's a talent. Anytime you're up against an all-NBA guy, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I was just like, yo, tell me the truth. Like, I know what your coaching staff says, but what do you guys internally, like, like when you guys are talking? He's like, well, it's not like Dame. That's the first thing he said. It's not like Dame. Like, you're not losing sleep over it, right? So I was like, so what is it like? He's like, well, it's kind of like, and then he stopped short, and then he was just like, it's kind of like when you play against Karl-Anthony Towns or someone like that. It's like they're going to give you 25, but it's not going to mean anything. That was a bit eye-opening for me.
And they get in their own way almost.
Yeah.
That's what Karl-Anthony Towns does. He gets us in his own way.
And so it's like, so I was thinking about that, and he was just like, yeah, but Scottie's going to be a problem. And I was like, so tell me about that. Obvious. And he's like, yo, honestly, if you put Scottie and Pascal in a gym right now and said, here, you guys play one-on-one, right? Like, he's like, it'll be close. By next year, he gets skunked.
No, next year he'll be destroyed.
Skunked. 7-0, skunked.
And like, I want people to understand, these are I just made a quick list of players who I think have higher trade value than Siakam, and they play like a similar position or they're close in size, right? And these aren't like MVPs. These aren't MVPs. I excluded MVP level players, and I excluded players on rookie contracts, okay? Anthony Davis is better. He's worth more. O.G Anunoby is worth more. Mikal Bridges is worth more. Lauri Markkanen is worth more. Brandon Ingram is worth more. Domantas Sabonis is worth more. Bam Adebayo is worth more. Jaren Jackson Jr. is worth more. Jaylen Brown's worth more. Zion Williamson's worth more. The only two question marks I have is Aaron Gordon and Kristaps Porzingis.
I think he's worth more than Aaron Gordon. If you put him with Jokic, he would beast. Like,
I get that. That's why that one was a question mark. What about Porzingis?
I think he's worth more than Porzingis because of the injury history.
But everybody else, you agree they're worth more.
Did you say Julius Randle?
No, I did not say Julius Randle.
Okay, thank God.
You know what's funny about Julius Randle? I checked their true shooting percentages. Julius Randle has a high true shooting percentage because he takes more three and he makes them at 35%, and he just shoots more. By the way, I want to say something about Julius Randle. That dude shows up in the fourth quarters.
He's made that's new. That's new though. He's been pretty terrible in the fourth quarter for a long time.
You know what I appreciate? He has that I don't care, that irrational confidence. You at least need that. Like today
honestly, I could deal with Siakam having a little less irrational confidence because I've seen one too many airball spin moves 2 feet away from the basket. My dude, he fucking airballed a layup. How do you do that as a professional basketball player? Like, he does it every game.
Rob, why did we need? What was the point of having Siakam late in the game? What was the point? This game specifically, what was the point?
I don't even know, man. Look, I mean, honestly,
he doesn't even try on defense.
I'm trying to understand. Like, here's the thing: I'm trying to understand the critics of the critic, and I'm the critic. So I'm trying to understand my critics in some sense. They're like, Rob, when are you going to be happy with Siakam? Right? Are you going to be happy when he goes 12 for 30 and, Scottie's got a cooking, OG's got a cooking, but he had to go for his 30 shots? No, you're not happy with that because you think that was inefficient. Are you happy when he puts up 12 points and doesn't press because OG and Scotty had it going? I don't think tonight's loss is necessarily on him. Obviously, you need him to be like way better, and it would have been nice if he could have anchored some of those second unit minutes, just generally speaking.
But Rob,
but I'm not upset with him tonight. That's kind of my point. Like we're talking shit about him right now, but like I'm not really that upset with him.
I want to say something about Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis today was pretty pedestrian. I mean, he got 4 blocks and he like protected the rim. Amazing.
He didn't press. I mean, he's averaging 17 points per game on his career against the Raptors.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is he took 7 shots. He didn't force it. It wasn't his night. Russell was cooking. Reeves was cooking, right? To me, okay, Siakam took 13 shots. I remember there was a play. He just came off the bench. Barnes had Reeves on him. And Siakam just said, nope, I haven't taken a shot in a while. I just got in the game. Let me throw this brick up. Then there was another play where he had the ball. He hadn't shot in a while. And it's like a outlet pass, and it's like a 2-on-1. Instead of passing it one more time to Pirtle under the rim, he's like, no, let me get my shot. Like, it's like he wants to get close to 20. Like, even on his bad nights, and there are games where Jokic only shoots like 8 shots. It's like some days it's like, wow, Barnes is killing it. OG is killing it. Yak is doing his thing. Let me just, you know what I mean? If guys so much better than you can do it, why can't you?
Look, I think, first of all, those guys who are so much better than him, like, they are so much better than him. Like, so you got to understand, like, this is not a guy who's secure in his place in the league right now. Jokic is going to be a Hall of Famer. Anthony Davis is already in the top 75, right? LeBron's a Hall of Famer, right? Tatum will be there. Doncic will be there. These guys who are like legit top 5, they've been top 5 their whole life, right? Like, to me, there's no debate ever, if you watch Luka Doncic play when he was 16, 17 years old, that he was going to be great. Like, great. You watch Jason Tatum, high school, boom, great. Like, he was, like, up there, top 5 recruit, like, he was, like, rated right out. So, these guys, even guys like DeAngelo Russell, Russell Westbrook, guys like this, John Morant, I mean, I know it's not consistent all throughout. They all haven't achieved the exact same level of success. Zion. Mm-hmm. These guys are in a different, they're on a different pipeline. They're on a different timeline. Like, one of the things that Brian said in that interview with Yahoo Sports was these kids today, right? These kids who come up through the AAU program, they come up through Hoop Diamonds and Ball is Life and shit, bro. Like, can you imagine Scotty Barnes is more famous at age 12 than most people will be, like, even like really successful people will be their whole life. Like, you be the best surgeon in LA. You be the best fashion designer in fucking Milan. Okay, that's crazy. No, like, you'd be the best fashion designer in Minsk. And probably not achieve the level of notoriety, fame, attention, etc. that this kid received at the age of 12 or 13. So when he gets to this level, pressure's off. But you know what else is off? Any pressure to achieve anything beyond, like, there's no question where Scotty's going. None. In my mind, his mind, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's questioning whether he's going to be great. It is idiot Raptor fans, no offense to people who have like the idiots. Yeah, total morons. Like, honestly, you're not watching the development find Doug Smith, Michael Grange, whoever else, right? And I'm not even trying to be rude, but I am trying to be rude a little bit. It's just, it's crazy to me, you know? And I mean, like, yeah, like, look, like, you might say, well, Rob, picking a nice night to talk your shit, 32 points, career high. Yeah, because I've taken a lot of shit when he's put up 12 points, 14 points, 15 points. And it's not 32 points on fast breaks. There's not 32 points when nobody was guarding him, 32 points on, as the roll man. There's a lot of shit was just self-generated. A lot of this shit was not special. It's not like a specific situation where, like, oh my God, he just had this one matchup. He did it against a lot of different guys. He did it against, did you guys catch the stat at the beginning of the year? Beginning of the game?
Yeah.
Number 1 rated defense. Like, in the league for the last, like, 5 games.
And somebody said,
or 6 games.
And that's Anthony Davis anchoring it. And
yes.
They'd rather have Siakam as a number 2 who can't anchor shit on defense. Morons.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, for a guy like Siakam, he didn't come up through that pipeline. He did not come up like knowing he was going to be great. He had to go through the G League. He had that entire process. It's a very different thing. So when it comes to, securing who you are, knowing who you are, he doesn't know who he is. In the NBA, he still doesn't know who he is. Like, he gotta, like, whatever.
What breaks my heart though is, Rob, with Siakam, because I believed in this guy to an extent in the beginning, where it was like the thing that was really confusing, and I've said this before, is why hasn't the IQ, leadership, like the game management, the championship experience from the title run and being around like one of the best group of vets anyone could ever ask for as a young player in Kawhi, Danny, Lowry, Ibaka, Gasol, why hasn't that rubbed off on him? Why is a 21-year-old sophomore? Somebody said it in the last post game. Why is the 21-year-old sophomore in Scottie routinely telling like the 28-year-old vet who's like in his 7th year, who won Most Improved Player, who's a 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, NBA champion, where to be on offense and defense so many times? Like, it's so upside down. It's so weird. Like, I wish Scottie had all those vets and was put in the situation Siakam was in. That was
Larry's talked about that before too, and I just so agree. Like Scottie with Kyle and Mark. Oh my God, that would have been so great for him.
That 1 year Pascal got is like 5 years of experience, like a bottom feeder team, like what Detroit and Houston are going to get. Siakam got that in like 1 year, 5 of those years in 1 year, and it's like, I just like. Here's a question: what would Siakam like? Let's replace Siakam with Barnes, and then what Siakam is doing right now, let's put Julius Randle in that situation because they're similar type of players. What would Siakam's development look like? It'd be impeded big time.
Yeah, it would be.
It's an uphill battle to but Siakam was given the perfect trajectory. It was slow as his skills built. He was put in a perfect role, and he's maxed out. We've maxed him out. This is the best he can be.
I mean, he probably doesn't agree with that, but
I'm not going to bank my franchise on that.
That brought you 25 years of this and the worst.
Sorry. We gotta take a 2-minute break. Sean Stevenson has asked for the video to be played again, the Honest trailer. So, like a radio station.
I got a question for you after
Yo, Basketball Zone. Yo, Leo, you gotta call in, man. You gotta call in. This is crazy. Scottie's career high. And congratulations to the Kings, by the way. At least y'all staying top 20 because a lot of idiots on here had them top 10. Oh my God. Yo, for real. Honestly, congratulations to the Kings.
In regular season. You don't be top 10 in regular season.
What?
You want to crack the top 10, do something in the playoffs. At least get your team to the second round or something.
Yeah. No, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break to fill up some water. Leo, if you want to call in, man. We'll have a fun little chat. Congratulations. I just want to say congratulations to the Kings. They're second in the West, doing some big things.
Fox is gonna win that Jerry West award. Fox is gonna win it this year. That
for sure. And I'll admit when I'm wrong, and God damn it, I've been wrong about De'Aaron Fox so hard this year. I did not rate him. His defense scared the shit out of me last year.
They brought him the perfect compliment. Perfect.
Huh?
They brought him the perfect complimentary second
in Domantas Sabonis. Yeah, and I mean a lot of what the Kings did this offseason I really liked. Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, but yeah, I didn't quite. I mean honestly, even though I kind of sneaky was like, oh, will they be in the playoffs? Will they be in the play-in? I didn't see second in the West ever.
No,
so and you know what the cool thing about the Kings is? Their culture reminds me a lot of what the Raptors were doing in 2013. The We the North era had a cool vibe to it. Light the Beam has a really cool vibe to it too. It's catching on. So congratulations to the Kings. And while I go fill up my water, to anyone who needs to go take a washroom break or whatever, by all means do so. And backed by popular request. Thanks a lot, Sean, for the super chat. We're just going to play this on the show again. To anyone who's watching this for the first time, just a quick FYI, I will update this massively and fix the voiceover and everything, but it is a placeholder for now, and it's supposed to be funny. Coach Mo, any final words?
Yeah. if I asked you who's better in this past summer, Knicks or Raptors, everybody would have said Raptors. If I would have said this past summer, Brunson, Randall, or Fred VanVleet, Siakam, what would you have said?
Siakam and Fred VanVleet.
And it ain't even close. And it ain't even close right now.
I still think it's close, but yeah. I mean, I don't rate those two guys either, but I'll agree because Brunson's younger.
Have you seen Brunson's numbers? It's
insane. Yes, I agree. But Fred VanVleet's analytics are insane too. Just an FYI. Just want to say that and just want to, keep things fair. I'm not throwing Fred VanVleet under the bus and saying like, oh, he's just way worse.
If it's not Brunson and Randall, if they're not that much better than our duo, what's the difference? I don't think the rest of the roster is that much better. What is it then? Culture, coaching?
That's a fair point. They have a you know what it is? Their pieces fit better. Quickly, a lot of those guys, man, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin. Yeah, like I mean, they just got like these diverse.
RJ Barrett can't shoot.
I mean, that's
Mitchell
not,
can't
that's...
shoot. Mitchell can't shoot. Obi Toppin can't shoot.
You know what I will put it down to? Roster construction, role optimization, and fit. Their pieces fit together. Also chemistry, leadership. And, do not doubt, what leadership can do for a locker room. I really do believe this locker room is divided. So I just feel like that's been leadership. A really
zero on-court leadership.
All right, Coach.
And Thibodeau is not playing the corpses of Fournier and Derrick Rose. Meanwhile, Nurse is trotting out that young.
Damn it! This was supposed to be a happy show, and now all I'm thinking about is how pissed off I am about Fred and Pascal.
We used to be the Knicks. We used to be the overachievers.
Yeah. Leanne Chapman with a really good point here. Josh Hart has been great for them. I agree. I really.
He's a better pickup than Yak. Like it's close, but he's shooting like 60% from three or some stupid thing right now.
That's not sustainable. I think Jakob Poeltl has been a really good in a vacuum addition. Obviously, I have my issues.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is that sustainable?
No, it's not. Not at all. I agree. Anyways, Coach Mo, peace.
All right,
have a good one, man. All right. Okay, we got Basketball Zone and Mario coming up next. I'm gonna play this. Leo, if you haven't watched this, I think you're gonna get a kick out of this, buddy. I'm gonna pull myself off. Play this out for you guys. To anyone who's watched this once already, I apologize for repeating myself, but I do need to go to the washroom real quick, and I need to grab some water because my voice is cracking.
From the company that brought you 25 years of dish and the worst cell phone reception in North American history comes a team so dysfunctional that this is their leader.
Ben Taylor was terrible. You just want to be and
And you got 15,000 people calling you an ass.
It's a lot of bleeps.
Watch as a group of 6'9" non-shooters attempt to overcome their deficiencies in the modern NBA by dribbling, taking contested twos, offensive rebounding, more dribbling, airballing clutch shots, screaming for fouls like you were shot, standing 40 feet from the basket waiting for passes, not moving without the basketball, and all right, God, I get it. And when it all goes to hell, trading their future draft assets for one of the worst shooters in NBA history. Coached by the man who can't stop complaining and looks like that guy from Operation. Watch as this woefully misguided team, which once had championship aspirations, fights for the play-in as they give up a shot at a much-needed generational talent for a chance to be swept by one of these guys. Watch as two non-max players hunt for max contracts as perfectly talented bench players collect DMP CDs. Watch as the team's top two talents are relegated to setting screens and standing in corners as a highly overrated isolation scorer pads his stats from the first half, only to disappear in the fourth quarter every single game. As a 21-year-old who half the fan base swears can't even play basketball, leads failed comeback after failed comeback as one of the 5 most clutch players in the NBA.
Starring the real Slim Shady, Freddie Maguire, Pascal Siakam, Nick Nursery, O.G Anunoby doesn't shoot to miss, the artist formerly known as Gary Trent. Scottie doesn't know. Scottie doesn't know. Don't tell Scottie.
Doesn't know. Scottie doesn't know.
Precious turnovers. Joe Not Exotic. Christian the Enforcer. The uncle you don't invite to Thanksgiving. the company man. Today, Junior, patience is a virtue. Boy genius. This prick. And free Jeff Doughton. Jurassic World, Lost in Toronto.
What'd you think?
Holy cow, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Great
it's gonna get better. I gotta do the voiceover like the Honest Trailer guy, and probably make it a little bit longer to make it a little bit more monetizable.
That was all you?
Yeah, man.
That like that was all your voices?
Yeah. I tried my best, man, but I fucked up. Yeah, I gotta make it better. But yeah, congratulations to the Kings, man. I keep wanting to say that. I've rooted for a losing team for like 4 or 5 years. I've never rooted for a losing team for my whole life. So to see this and to see this beautiful style basketball being played, light the beam, love it so much. I think if the Raptors continue this way, you might see some Raptor fans floating into your Kings live streams just to escape from hellish basketball.
I love it. It's been different, right? 16 straight years for me covering the team since 2013. I've never covered a winning season. It's insane to say. And
yeah,
I'm still like obviously on alert. You know, I try to find all the weaknesses, and there are a lot on this team. But their offense is so elite that on most nights, even if their defense is shit, they tend to outscore teams, and because they play the right way, right? It's a historic offense, so it kind of evens out a little bit. But in the playoffs, like Mike Brown said, like they got to play some defense and not let Josh Hart grab 8 offensive rebounds. And I love Josh Hart, like that guy's a beast, but he should be grabbing 8 offensive rebounds, man. But it's been fun. Tonight, I was watching the game. Made some money on the Lakers. Luckily, I bet them in the first half and not the first quarter or the third, because I feel like the Raptors came out hot in the first and the third.
Yeah.
But then,
I bet Scotty 35 on points, rebounds, assists. I didn't know how he was going to do it, but I knew he was going to have a big game. It's just kind of a feeling. And then I had Raptors win, and I canceled that bet. I cashed out of it when they were up, and I flipped it to the Lakers. I think when they went up 8, I was like, nope. They came out like gangbusters, and I was like, man, OG is not going to be able to miss. But then there was a part of me that was just like, there's no way they're going to let OG and Scotty keep going. And they let Scotty and OG keep going, and that was amazing. But the bench couldn't do shit tonight. Did you watch the game? You watched the full game?
I watched the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter. I stopped watching the fourth.
What'd you think of Scotty?
I mean, that dude is... I know a lot of Raptor fans. I'm always just reading all the comments on the Raptor Facebook group, and the hate that he gets is fucking ridiculous, by the way. I like, part of me wants to respond, but then I'm like, I'm going to get into this big-ass feud for no reason, because these people are effing stupid, so there's no point in even arguing with them. So I'm like, why waste my time? But I see a lot of hate. I see a lot of OG hate. Siakam, I feel like I've been preaching this for a while. He's not a top 15 player. I'm glad people are starting to realize that. He's a guy that's extremely predictable. I've been saying that. His game is robotic. And tonight, fuck.
Bro, every fucking here's the crazy thing. Some pretty impressive people follow me on Instagram, right? So when I do those polls, I see what they say, right? So I remember polling, is Siakam better than Bam? Is Siakam better than Jaren Jackson? Every credible NBA, quality person, like when I talk about NBA quality person, I mean people who are around the game, know the game really deep. Nobody rated Siakam. Nobody. All of Siakam's votes came from fans. Right. All the votes from trainers, coaches, all those people, they went to the other guys. This is not a fucking conspiracy theory. And I'm a Raptor fan. I want to be able to root for this guy. I want him to be good, man. And like, I think people don't realize I didn't start out this way with him. I liked him. I liked him a lot 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Make him to be.
Yeah, but it's like if right now, like, okay, who's another guy that I like? I like Christian Koloko a lot. Like, a lot more than probably any person in Toronto. people who think this channel is all about Scotty, or you guys are crazy. Like, I'm probably a bigger OG fan than probably anyone in this live stream, and I'm probably a way bigger Scotty fan than probably anyone on earth. But like, there are some guys on this team that I really believe in. But if we started featuring our fucking offense around Christian Coloco, I would turn on him and the coaching staff so fast, because that's just putting a guy in a position. There are so many levels to this. Serious lottery talents, even when they don't achieve success at the level that people want them to, like a De'Aaron Fox, right? Like a De'Aaron Fox, the first few years, you could argue, he had ups and downs. He had a lot of losing seasons, but the talent was never a question with him. Commitment to defense, offensive fit, the team around him.
Well, he got better every year individually, except for Tyrese's last season before the deadline. Like, he was always getting better every year, and he took a downfall of that last year for Tyrese, because they kind of split like the usage rate, and it was my turn, your turn type of thing, and he struggled. And he also put on like an additional 15 pounds of muscle, which a lot of people don't know, and that's really hard on somebody who's always been the fastest player in basketball. So when you add that much weight to your body, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it's pretty harsh, and it took a toll on him. So he struggled a lot, on top of having so much instability from an organization perspective, right? Luke Walton, then it was Alvin Gentry. So
it's hard to play with Marvin Bagley, man.
Thank you. Now Pistons fans are starting to realize that shit, because I'm like, that guy is no good.
No, it's true. Like there's such an underrated part of all of this. People act like prospects are just going to develop in a vacuum, and they're not. You could take Scotty's you could take Scotty or OG's development into 25, 30 different directions, and trust me, 29 of them are probably wrong, right? There is an optimal way to develop a player from a physical perspective, right? People, one of the notions that I've heard being peddled around a lot recently is that Scotty needs to get with a real trainer. I've been really pissed off about this personally, because I've been like I don't just feature someone on this channel like willy-nilly. Like, I researched Brian extensively. I follow him like a lot. I've talked to players throughout my life. I know about NBA trainers, and I know a good one when I see it. Scotty's got a great trainer. Brian's an incredible trainer. And I was watching this thing that, just to briefly talk about NBA training and like the right way and the wrong way to do it, etc. Right? There's a notion. There was a trainer who literally ripped Scotty's entire video of him training. So there's like a basketball trainer, some 5'6" guy or something like that. He goes on YouTube and he's just like, basketball trainer critiques basketball, Scotty's work ethic or work whatever, and he's going in on this training regime. He's like, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, he needs to, if I was his trainer, this, and it's just this notion it's been prevalent around this Toronto scene that, oh, maybe, and it started with, the Raptors are not happy with Scotty's off-season work, that there's some sort of divide between how they want him to develop, and when he's struggling, immediately goes to, well, you're not working with Rico Hines like we want you to, or you're not working with so-and-so, you're not, showing up to these runs or whatever. I was watching this video from Brian 5 years ago, and he was talking about the process, trusting the process. And he says that when he just straight up said it. He's like, I got killers in grade school, I got killers in middle school, I got killers in the pros, I got killers everywhere. And the process that Brian preaches in terms of training is about breaking the person down to the point where they're literally losing the ball. Like getting you to the breaking point of where you can take your handle, and then just getting you to lose the ball. Getting you to hit so many shots that your body literally cannot take more shots. Like that level of aggressive development. And one of the most underrated parts of how Scotty's approaching this is his expansion. He's like, it's in all directions. He's expanding his body and his jumper and his post moves. It's going in all directions. And it's sometimes going to be really muddy and really messy. But then you have nights like tonight where it all comes together for a minute and you're just like, holy shit, if I had closed my eyes and just squinted really hard and you told me that was Jason Tatum out there, I would have believed you. you know? So,
and to be fair, I remember when you were telling me the areas of where he excels from the 3-point line, and tonight he had really bad 3-point line. A lot of it too because of where this team sets him up to be in terms of just positional offensive scheme.
Wrong side, yep.
And he was taking shit. I was like, fuck, like that's a bad shot. And the result wasn't good. But I felt like as the game progressed, he adjusted because he is, cerebral in so many ways, and he just thinks the game and he processes it so well. I think that's the difference between a guy like him and say maybe a guy like Ben McLemore, who had all the talent in the world, but then if he would miss those type of shots, his game would be discouraged, and then he'd be shit. Scotty Barnes can impact the game whether he misses 2 fucking terrible shots, but he does other things so well. And I just feel like too many people on these Facebook groups and some people in the chat are just box score lovers. They don't really understand the game aside from just watching the boxers. I was literally having a heated debate in the media room on Thursday for TNT's game if Draymond wouldn't be a good fit on the Kings. I'm like, bro, he'd be the perfect fit. Like, he's exactly what they need. And the fact that he said that, and I'm not going to name it, but that the Warriors would win without him. And I'm like, first of all.
Who said that? You can't tell. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they would never win without Draymond. Like, Draymond is a defensive player of the year. Draymond is cerebral. It gets, like, just when people say, oh, he only averaged 2 points a game, I'm like, but did you see what he did to the other players? Like, do you understand that he made that defense? Like, it's crazy to me how many people just watch box scores and depict their critiques off of that. And I'm just like, bro, like, basketball is more than the box score, man. Like, there's 100%. More to this shit.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, honestly, when I watch a basketball game, I'm looking at it like a chess match completely all the time, right? It's like a game of bop it meets a game of chess. Combine those two and you got basketball in a nutshell. How moving the ball from side to side switches the defense, how gaps are attacked, how certain players, when they catch the ball in certain areas, are effective versus ineffective, how quickly you make a pass, how accurately you make a pass. None of this shit shows up in the box score, bro. None of it. None of it. How easy, like there was a shot today, where there was a pass today where Pascal Siakam passes to somebody and they get blocked. I think it was Jakob Poeltl, and he got blocked or he missed at the rim. And the pass was just a little off and just a little late. And I tell you, if that pass is thrown a fraction of a second earlier and a couple inches to the right,
100%.
It's not a block. And people are never going to see that because that's never going to count as an assist for Siakam. It's not going to count as a lost assist for Siakam. But these types of things, they do add up. And there's about, I want to say, 150 to 250 such events in a basketball game where a guy is 1 foot too low on a switch. He's a little too high on a coverage. He's too tight on a guy. And these are the things that coaches need to address during practices. Problem is, NBA teams don't practice that much anymore. That's number one thing.
Right.
But specifically, when you have a player who's 21 years old and they innately understand all of those 250 decisions, that they are almost never the culprit of being in the wrong there. With Scottie, his mistakes are almost always a lack of aggression, taking a shot that he should take, passing something that he shouldn't, pass up. And that was Brian's talking about in his latest interview with Yahoo Sports is kind of conditioning him to always be looking to score and passing when the defense forces it. Whereas, that's kind of the consequence. You could take it either way. Like, players who come up on teams where they play with players who are better than them, right? Or who are really, really good. Like, that's the whole thing with USA basketball, right? That's such an adjustment. Like, because some guys, they come up through AAU and they're like the man.
Yep.
And every level. Jalen Green was the man. Jalen Green has literally never played second option to anybody in his life on any team ever, right? Like, since, like, I'm talking 15, 14 years old. Like, he doesn't defer to shit. His playmaking is worse off for it, probably, right? Because he's been asked to score at almost every single level, and Scottie hasn't. Scottie played with Cade. Scottie played with Moses Moody. Scottie played, has played connector. And so the question of really development at this point is it easier to turn Jalen Green into a better playmaker, or is it easier to turn Scotty Barnes into a scorer? And I think it's complicated either way, right? The work has got to be put in. But I think that one thing that
I would bet on Scotty being the better scorer, just because he already has those like traits of attacking, has a little floater. And Jalen Green, watching him twice this year, so this is year 2 for him.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him twice, I can see that his feel for the game. Like, even for someone like me on the super low level, how he doesn't even see like a simple slip screen pass. He don't even see that, and it's crazy as hell to me how bad his feel is for the game. So when your feel is bad, you really can't become or start becoming a good playmaker. And Scotty is above and beyond already a very good passer. So I think it's more likely for him. Like, I'm a betting man, so I would bet for him to be a better scorer before Jalen becomes a better passer, because there's like levels to this and how you process the game from a playmaker's perspective, and he's far from it.
I think Scotty was a better passer at 14 than Jalen is right now.
That's my point.
Yeah. Really interesting, this comment here. I didn't watch the TNC broadcast. Did Matt and Jack mention anything about Fred's Ben Taylor fine? Jack went off on Scotty. Somebody wrote in the comment section of the last video that Fred VanVleet was sticking up for Scotty Barnes. You guys are insane. He stuck up for himself 1,000%. He took that fine for himself. He swore for himself. His issue is with Ben Taylor. It's not with Scott Foster. If Fred VanVleet wanted to stick up for Scotty Barnes and take the heat off of Scotty Barnes, well, quite frankly, he should have done that the previous game when Scotty got tossed, not when he picked up a technical. Number one. Number two, what did you think about the rant? Because it has stirred up the NBA world a lot. A lot of people have come out in support of Fred VanVleet. I've never seen Fred do anything without political agenda attached to it. This is a guy who cares about his money a lot. Trust me, he got his money's worth for the publicity and positive publicity that he has received for this. But I find it interesting.
I loved it.
You loved the rant, eh?
I loved it, but to your point, 1,000%, that shit was worth $40,000. Like, there's value in that. Like Gary Vee says, like, damn, like, I only paid 40 racks to get all this positive publicity. And because, I don't know if you remember, who was it for his interview, I think, with ESPN, like, he talked about how
JJ
Redick, yada. I'm like, bro, you're full of shit. Like, you're just not the same player. So now he's kind of strategically turned it around. Like, I kind of like Fred VanVleet, like, yeah, fuck Ben Taylor.
Quote of the night. I believe it came from Kate Burness, and I don't want to ascribe a quote to her, and it wasn't her, but I think it was her. She was having a pregame chat with Leo Routens, whom you've met Leo, right? And I've met him too, and Sam Mitchell. And I can't remember if Sam said it or if Kate said it. I have a feeling Kate said it, where she said, what do you do when you run out of excuses for the season? You start blaming the refs. We talked about getting a center. We talked about bench depth, right? Now you've moved 2 guys who you were talking about starting every game for the rest of the season, and Precious and Gary, to the bench, right? There's one part of this entire equation that has never shifted once. We've moved Gary from starter to bench. We've seen Precious out. We've seen Precious in. We've seen OG third option, fifth option, second option, first option. We've seen Scotty play center, point guard, small forward. 2 variables in this entire. We've seen Jakob off the team. We've seen Jakob on the team. We've seen Christian Koloko getting minutes. Christian Koloko not getting any minutes. We've seen Delano Banton switch in as a backup point guard. We've seen Jeff Doughton be backup point guard. Malachi Flynn be backup point guard. We've seen now fucking Will Barton come in and try to play some backup point. We have seen every variable on this team shift. Scotty has changed his role 3 fucking times. You know what I've never seen shift?
Right.
Fred and Pascal. That is the only thing in this team's entire dynamic all year that has been unchanged. I think it's worth thinking about. I think it is worth thinking about their role in this offense. I think it is worth thinking about the fact that if you gave Dennis Schroder the same opportunities as Fred VanVleet on offense, you tell me he really wouldn't put up better numbers on an entire season? Are you insane?
Facts.
There's so many players who can do what Pascal and Fred do in this offense. I talked about it. I think in the film breakdown prior to this show, because prior to the game I did a film breakdown, and I said, on a night-to-night basis, you lose almost every single night. The Raptors shoot worse in the field than their opponent, and they take way more field goals than their opponent. So you have to ask yourself, who is largely responsible for their super low efficiency? Well, probably the authors of their offense, the people who are deciding who's taking shots, the guys who take the most shots, right? Your leading shot takers, your leading usage guys should take blame for that. And if the Sacramento Kings offense was shit, I think you would look at Mike Brown, De'Aaron Fox, and you would look at Domantas Sabonis. You wouldn't be looking at Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray, right? You wouldn't be looking at Rashawn Holmes. Those guys are secondary to that. You're not going to be like, oh man, if only Davion Mitchell was fucking shooting threes better, we'd be great. No, if your offense sucks, if every night you get outshot from the field, you got to look at the guys who are making the most impact on the types of shots. Pardon?
On both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, like those are your guys, right? So
Leadership
let's hold those motherfuckers accountable the same way that both those guys are asking for max contracts, right? Like you're
absolutely
you're a funny thing, like your funny intro, like those are fake max guys, but yet they're gonna ask for it, and Siakam probably will get it, and I hope that Fred doesn't, but I don't know what the Raptors are doing. Like this Jakob Poeltl shit, there was confusion as hell to me, and I don't think we ever talked about it, by the way.
10 box plus minus 10, bro. Jakob Poeltl is like basically Kareem right now for us, and it's killing us in so many ways. People will never understand this. People who are analytics nerds don't understand this. I've talked to people who have like literally written books on analytics, and they're like, Rob, you're wrong. I'm like, you're wrong. You cannot run like Jakob and Fred, this entire dynamic of this duo. Think about how the other two guys operate when this is happening. I'm just going to share a quick video with you. Like it's super quick, but just look at this. I shared this video earlier, but look at how Ivica Zubac reacts to Jakob Poeltl, like just in general. Hang on. He literally like watch the red. That's Zubac, right?
Yeah.
And look at Jakob. The whole fucking possession. Now, if you run this play with Yak, like right now, Yak sets the screen for Fred, tries to help him out. Then he sets the screen for Scottie. But look at the distance and how low Zubac is always. So even when Scottie does get the shot to go in, look at it's contested. Because he never had to come out of the paint to really do anything with Jakob Poeltl because Jakob Poeltl is always there. So even when you run like a pick and roll with with Fred and Yak, the problem with it is the only two people who can actually benefit from that are Jakob and Fred, which is effectively Fred, because either Fred's going to get an assist or he's going to get an open shot in that situation. So my suggestion was in that situation that Jakob cannot be the screener for Fred. Jakob has to be either the screener for Pascal and Scottie so that Fred can provide that off-ball spacing, or OG or Scottie need to be the spacer. Sorry, the screener for Fred. But literally, I would ban Fred and Jakob pick and roll because the other team now has to play 4-on-3, which means if that initial play doesn't work out, right? And this is what I say, like next level basketball thinking, but people just don't get it.
And I'll go a step further. The reason why that pick and roll with Yaka and Fred doesn't work either is because Poeltl is not a fucking passer like Draymond. So, for example,
he's good though. He's a good passer, really good passer. Not Draymond, but he's really good passer.
But see, that's why Draymond would work on this team, on most teams in a 4-on-3 situation. Like you saying, like if they're gonna cheat and allow Poeltl to essentially play 4-on-3, right? Like a lot of teams, for example, if Damian Lillard and how's his name, the big man, if they're playing pick and roll, I'm gonna hard hedge Nurkic and double team Dame, right? I'm gonna take the ball out of his hands. I'm going to let Nurkic beat me by making the right decision. Whether whether you think he's a good passer or not,
he's a really good passer. It's not just
right.
I don't think it's like.
But it's not the same in having him or a guy like Draymond, who are both equally bad offensively. Like they don't have like.
I don't think they're equally bad offensively.
Yeah, but
it's different. Like Draymond could still take and probably hit. Like you don't have to really guard. Like here's the thing, we've seen teams go under screens on Scottie. We've seen teams go like aggressive drop against Scottie to the point where it's embarrassing. To the point where like he's literally being guarded like he is Ben Simmons, and it's staggering. Pardon?
But like what? He can pass the ball. He can put pressure on.
Jakob's like, I mean, I guarantee you, if you look at Jakob's analytics right now, you'll find that he's a much better passer than you probably think that he is right now. Like, I'm not saying he's Sabonis. I'm not saying that he's Draymond. But as a center in the NBA, I would say he's probably top 5. He's a top 5 passer among centers. He's amazing. Like, I watched him a lot. I watched him in San Antonio. He's gotten even better here. Out of the short roll, he's incredible. The problem here is, once again, because of his inability to shoot, the pass that he makes is still to a player who now has to play 3-on-4 because he's not being guarded.
Well, if he was that great of a passer, I'm not questioning you. I'm just saying when you're that type of a passer, all that shit's negated because Sabonis can't shoot either. But the fact that he's so
Sabonis can shoot better than Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl has not made a shot outside of 12 feet all year. That's different. Sabonis can hit a shot outside 12 feet.
Yeah, but that's not what he does though. Like that's not how he operates his game. So when you're that type of passer, like a Domas or like a Scotty Barnes, whether you play off of that guy or not, you can make up for it by passing the ball. And that's my whole point with Jakob Poeltl, where you don't have shooters as it is. And when you add a guy like that who can't space the floor, all it does is just hurt you at a super maximum level. Like that was my whole point. So that's why when Zubac is playing off him like that's like he's not worried. Like he'll let him beat him every single time. But he's not going to. So
well, the other thing that with Jakob that I'll say is that he shoots nearly 70% at the rim. Like to the point where like I think there was a stat where since he's come into the league, he's like the 7th most efficient finisher at the rim in the league. So him catching the ball within 5 feet is a bucket, right? The problem is
shooters though. At that point,
the problem is in a league where the Sacramento Kings and Golden State, well, not so much the Golden State Warriors, but the Sacramento Kings specifically are putting up such aggressively high numbers where like, you know, like what you guys did to the Clippers, we didn't even come close. We shot 38% against the Clippers, I think, right? Like 36%. I think we shot 36% against the Clippers. Like it was ridiculous. And that's not a good defensive team right now. Don't rate Kawhi, Paul George. Just look at them as a team defensively. They're just not good. And we just couldn't do anything to them. And yeah, Jakob Poeltl is not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's not Will Chamberlain. You cannot run your offense through him. You can use him as a connector. The problem is Siakam's a connector. Fred should be a connector. Scottie could be an initiator, but he's a connector. Everybody's connecting. Nobody's connected. It's weird. Like you just have all of these, like you think about it. I think if you look at passer ratings and just overall passing analytics, if you assume that Scottie is the 3 and not the 2 in this lineup, the front court of Scottie, Jakob, and Pascal is the best passing front court in the NBA. I will bet money on that. Like, Jokic is amazing. I get it. But the other 2 players next to him, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, are nowhere near him. You have 3 guys who can all operate very decisively outside like better than a lot of guards. Like Jakob Poeltl is a better passer than Gary Trent Jr. He's a better passer than O.G Anunoby. Scotty Barnes is a better passer than most point guards in the NBA. You know, Pascal Siakam, you know, even though he misses some really stupid ones and he throws them off target or whatever, he's still a significantly above average passer for a power forward. He runs point a lot. You have such a luxury. The only way you can negate that luxury is by asking these guys to basically be screeners for Fred VanVleet and spacers for Jakob Poeltl. Like, you almost completely negate everything by putting Fred on the ball. The minute Fred moves off the ball, all these problems go away. So I personally hope that Fred VanVleet just takes, I don't know, 3 games off. I don't know. I was kind of hoping he gets suspended, personally, after what he did, after what he was ranting about. I was just like, man, please, God, suspend this guy for 3 games, just so you guys can see what a Scottie Jakob pick and roll could look like. And it's not perfect. It won't be perfect until one of those 2 players can shoot.
Yeah.
But because they both have, like, they can finish, because one of the things that's a little bit underrated, factoid about Fred is that he doesn't finish well at the rim at all. And so, you know, people are quick to harp on Scottie, you know, being, you know, not a great 3-point shooter. And that's true. That's fact. 29% is not a great 3-point shooter. But 29% 3-point shooter Scottie generates more points out of a 3-point shot than Fred VanVleet does at the rim. Go smoke that, you know, and put that in your hat and smoke it. If you shoot 40% at the rim, do the math. 30% from 3 is better than 40% at the rim. Way better. In order to beat Scotty Barnes' 29, 30% 3-point shot, you got to be about 44, 45% at the rim, right? Like, the math on this is pretty undefeated. Like, you cannot shoot like 38, 39, whatever Fred VanVleet shoots at the rim. Like, if you look at his shot chart, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull it up at some point. He's been so bad at the rim that is almost like, that's not talked about enough, because I think it's immediately excused because he's undersized.
That's bullshit. There's so many undersized guards that
do well at the rim. I agree with you. But it's so funny because it's like, I think the media kind of has kid gloves on with him, and they just say like, okay, well, you know, he's small, so obviously he's going to shoot poorly at the rim. What's Scotty's excuse? Well, long arms, big hands, make it really hard to fucking shoot. You guys should try it. You know, I don't have a 7'4" wingspan, but I imagine if I did, I wouldn't be a good shooter either. It's really hard to shoot with long arms, I think, personally. Yeah.
He'll adjust to it. I mean, with the proper training and just consistency, I don't see how he doesn't become. I mean, his free throw shooting at times is solid. His mid range shot, when he gets into a shot, the way he creates, it's there. Like, there's something to be worked on. He's not fucking Kid Gilchrist. You know what I mean? Like, there's something there to be worked with. Like, people act like he's Gilchrist or something, or like he's like Joe Kim Noah. Or
Lane brought up like fucking there's this caller on this channel, Lane, and he brought up last time, he's like, he was having a debate with his friend, and he was like, Michael Carter Williams or Andrea Bargnani, and I was just like, my dude, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, I got so heated, I got so mad, and it was just like, yo, I talk to NBA writers, I talk to NBA people, like, they're excited about Scottie. I was just sharing a story before he came on about an NBA player that I was talking to, and he said, like, by next year it's going to be a wash. Scottie versus Pascal in practice is not going to be fun to watch for Pascal. And it's just because, you know, teams, like other players, they know. Like, listen, like, to anyone out there who needs a little bit of Scotty Barnes reassurance, go listen to John Morant talk about Scotty Barnes. Go listen to Jason Tatum talk about Scotty. Like, all the greatest players in the league have given you their take on Scotty. They all see it. I don't know what you guys are missing. I know right now there's 195 people here at 3 a.m., which is pretty wild. If you think about it, that's crazy. I'm preaching to the choir here. Obviously, there's a lot of Scotty fans here. But to anyone who's maybe on the fence about it, like, is he not, whatever, think about it. When's the last time, you know, you've never seen fucking all the superstars in the league come out when Harrison Barnes was having, you know, tough go, and or Luol Deng. I never heard anyone call Luol Deng a future superstar or anything like that. I never, you know what I mean? It doesn't happen it comes for very few players. The Lucas of the world. And it's difficult because Scottie is like, he's got that type of brain, but he doesn't have that kind of skill yet. The skill will catch up. I think the main point of, talking about like the Jalen Green versus, Scotty Barnes thing is, I think it's easier for the body to catch up to the mind than the mind to catch up to the body.
100%.
Like when I watch Jalen Green play, I'm just like, oh my God, I wish one day Scotty be able to cross up a dude like that or pull up hezzy fade away, like the footwork. It's just so fucking elite, but he has no idea when to do it, when not to do it. No idea who's cutting where, all that shit that like Scotty just has like innately. Jalen Green does not have, will not have probably ever. So it's like, when that stuff comes, like when that, and it's just, it's not even like we're talking about a guy who doesn't have every physical advantage on the planet to be able to capitalize once those skills come. But like the brain plus the physical tools, he's basically just coasting on fumes at this point. He's so far from where he's gonna be 2-3 years from now. It's gonna be really fun to watch, man. It's gonna be a really fun to watch thing. And even though this is not a good season for the Raptors and things have gone very poorly, hopefully a night like this can be a little reminder to this fan base. As Brian said, everybody relax. Everybody relax. Like Aaron Rodgers said, everybody relax. Chill out. It's going to be fine. Eventually, we will be fine. And you'll be in the hands of a superstar. And will you be able to keep him? Will you not? Who knows? Toronto has not had the greatest track record of keeping superstars around. But you have one. You have a really good one. And on nights like this, you get to see it. And it's good to see.
Well, if they make, obviously they'll probably make the play-in, and if they do make the playoffs for whatever reason, it's going to be a great experience for a guy like Scotty Barnes, whether they get swept or not.
He's not letting them get swept. I don't care.
They will, but to play high-level basketball, say against a guy like Giannis, for him to have those reps and to have that film, it's one thing to watch the film, on Bucks or Celtics. It's another to be like, shit, this is what I got to do better next year. So if there's an optimistic perspective or point of view, it's that one. And it's, obviously I feel like they should have tanked, but, and I hate tanking, but that is the one view where I'm like, okay, well, if there's anything to salvage, it's Scotty Barnes getting more reps in the playoffs, because that's invaluable in so many ways. And just having that film of whether he's getting dogged by Jason or getting dogged by Giannis. And that's just going to fuel the fire under him. It's going to light it up even more. And it's going to make him stronger in the long run. So that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to if they make the play-in and eventually make the playoffs. Because, they have the coaching in the perfect world, right? And in theory, at least, because Nick's been fucking terrible this year. But they have players that have been there, whether we like them or not. Because in the one-game elimination, shit, anything can happen. So if they do make the playoffs and get swept, that's the optimistic view that I have.
if you had to put, okay, now I'm curious about this. We have one more caller, so I gotta get off and get that person on. But I do want to ask you, if you had to put money. Granted, you've bet on the Raptors and lost quite a few times this year, so
they've killed me.
Trigger warning. But Wizards, Raptors, would you bet on the Raptors in a one-game series?
Yes.
You would? Okay.
Yes.
Hawks, Raptors? That look says it all. All right.
It's 50-50. It depends. Like, are we in Toronto or are we in Atlanta?
Probably in Atlanta. And that's the thing, if you keep being 10th, it's all road games. Everything's a road game. For the first 4 games, play in. Huh?
I mean, they're able to get 9th. I mean, it's not crazy to say.
Like, I want to remind you, just 3 months ago, we were talking about 2nd and 3rd. Now we're talking about we can get 9th. We can get there if we try. God damn it, man. At some point, you and I need to do a show where you come on and educate the Raptor fan base on how you cope with rooting for a losing team. Like, what do you root for? Do you root for draft picks? Do you root for, You know, you have a belief that no tanking. That was one of your big things. No tanking, no tanking. Would you have wanted to tank all those years if you had Masai and Bobby making decisions? Who knows? Miami versus Toronto, you take
Miami.
Yeah, me too. All right. So in this case, I think look, the problem with the Raptors being 10th is it's road games all the way through. The problem with being 9th is it's at least one road game. So you play the first game at home, then
What if they get 8th?
If it's 8th, you got first game is a road game, second game is a home game. But the problem with being
the playoffs if you get 8th.
Pardon?
I think they'll make the playoffs if they get 8th.
Still have to win 2 games, man. Or actually, hold on. 8th has to just win 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
9th and 10th have to win 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go 2-0 if you're 9 or 10.
Right.
But if you're 7 or 8, you just got to go 1 and like you just got to go 1-1.
You have 2 tries.
And you have 2 tries. But look, pressure burst pipes. I don't mean to burst anyone's bubble here, or even say the word bubble for Siakam fans out there who might get triggered by that word. But I do not trust Pascal Siakam in a 1-game do or die. Some guys show up for those big moments. Some guys do not. I do not trust him the way that I trust Trae Young.
We'll show up, and he could have a game like tonight. All he needs is
He just lost. He just lost. You
Yeah,
held
but
it.
more help from like Siakam, more help from like Fred.
Yo, if tonight was a play-in game, right? One thing I can tell you is Anthony Davis has 6 more levels that he could have dialed up tonight. And I don't think Siakam and Fred have like 6 more levels that they can gear up.
That's true.
Right? So I look at guys like Trae Young. I look at guys like even Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and I'm like, in a 1-game, in 7-game series, okay, the law of averages balances out. Your defense can just be really good, but good offense beats good defense every time. Every time. Right? And I just think in a 1-game series, that shows up even more. One hot shooting night, your season's done.
Yeah.
One hot shooting night. The Raptors haven't had a hot shooting night like all season. This is like about as good as it gets for this team. 36-37% from 3.
I was like, fuck did I bet the Lakers for? The day I bet against the Raptors, they gonna beat me. And then I'm like, oh, they came back down to earth.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, like it's not looking super optimistic, but I agree. If they get to the playoffs and then they're facing off against the Bucks or the Celtics, I give them a puncher's chance. Just because number one, I think this team is way more talented than an 8th seed or a 7th seed ever should be. Talented. I also think that the cohesive fit of all the politics, all the stats, all that shit that seems to have gotten in the way during the season, maybe that can be just addressed prior to the playoffs. Because I really do think this team is like one really, really good team meeting away from like a 6-game win streak. I hate to sound like a optimistic whatever. I realize the pieces don't necessarily fit. I realize there's a lot of holes and a lot of flaws, but man, there is talent on this team. Jakob is a starting center in the NBA, unquestionably. There are 6 guys on this team, in my opinion, that should be starting on just about 80% of NBA teams. That's not something that most 7th or 8th seeds can say. I mean, in the West, yeah, because in the West, like 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, like everything's just separated by 2 games. But traditionally, when you think about play-in teams, usually they have they have 4 starters, 3 starters, and like a bunch of guys who just have no business. But like the Raptors are like deeper. Like people want to blame the bench because the bench played poorly tonight. Yo, I know you're not a big Gary Trent Jr. fan, but there was like a 13-game stretch where this guy's averaging like 25, 26 points per game. I know he takes terrible shots, but he also makes terrible shots, and he's been doing it for years. So like the last 2 games, a bit of an anomaly for him.
Conducive to winning though.
There's a lot of terrible shot takers. A lot of terrible shot takers in the NBA. I think Kobe was a terrible shot taker. He's great at making them, I'm not comparing Gary Trent Jr. to Kobe Bryant, but I am saying like there's obviously guys who take like better shots than other guys, Nikola Jokic takes great shots, right? Like some guys don't, You know, like some guys just don't take great shots. They're just really good at making difficult shots. Difficult shot makers get paid, for sure, in the NBA. I used to think De'Aaron Fox didn't take great shots, personally. You know, I think you might even agree with that.
That was roll optimization, though.
There you go. That's what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna get to Mario. Thanks a lot for chatting. Always interesting to and I love seeing your lives, like when you go live, and it's like, oh, like I'm living vicariously through you, seeing you enjoy a winning team, and I was like, that's cool. It'll be cool. It'll be cool because the type of beautiful basketball that the Kings are playing right now, I really do believe that type of basketball is also possible for the Raptors, with Scottie. You know, like a lot of what Domantas Sabonis and Kevin, like, you know, movement shooters like Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, and stuff like that. Like, I just think this team,
bro, like Keegan is surprising me every time. I know you and me were like kind of low on him, in terms of like comparing him to other. I know he's older, but the shit he does at 6'8", 6'9", is like a jumbo-sized Klay Thompson offensively. Like his movement shooting at that size.
I'm so glad you added the offensively part.
it's I mean, even defensively too. Like he's showing flashes that I didn't see on film. I'm like, how did he recover? Like, how did he get that block? Like,
go check our text. Go check our text history when you guys drafted Keegan Murray. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Do you remember? I told you he's one of the most mistake-free players in the country. I really liked him.
Oh yeah,
I really didn't think.
We also had a whole pod talking about how he'd be like number 9 or 10.
That was me trying to fleece you in an OG Anunoby trade. I'm not liable for what I say to you in trade docs.
No, this was like non trades. I'm just saying, like, I was like, well, are there 9 other better rookies? And now I'm looking back at it like, I don't think there are 9 better rookies.
No, there aren't. In all honesty, though, like a lot of the guys you're comparing him to, in fairness to those players, are 4 years younger, 3 years younger than him, and I think that has to be factored into, you know, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Jeff Doughton Jr., who is a two-way player for the Raptors, significantly outplayed Scoot Henderson in a matchup. See what I mean? Jeff Doughton at 25 years old probably would go undrafted next year. Scoot Henderson go number 2.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's my point. Like at some point you have to consider the impact of being 3-4 years older than somebody else. It's a massive thing. Like especially when you're young.
Matters. I think context matters in terms of size, and the one thing that he does really fucking well, which is shoot the ball. Like that's a skill set that will forever be used in today's NBA, where the name of the game is spacing the floor, and like he's such a great complementary player to any star, and like you've seen the difference for some Bucks. So like a guy like that's a 10-year starter, and at some point that has to matter in a draft process, though.
Would you take him over Jabari Smith Jr. today? Given that Jabari's had like the season from hell and Keegan's having a great year, like would you take him over Jabari Smith if Jabari Smith had fallen to 4? Would you take him over Jaden Ivey, given that Jaden Ivey is also playing on a really terrible team for
if
the
they
Pistons?
Were both like available at 4, or no.
Yeah, like let's say somebody went crazy and they took Dyson or fucking Walker Kessler or something at 3 years, some crazy shit like that. Someone just went way above Shaedon Sharpe. So let's say number 4, you have options: Keegan Murray, Dyson Daniels, Shaedon Sharpe. You have and Jaden Ivey. You have all those players available to you at 4.
I think on draft night, I for sure take Jabari. I think today both of those guys are extremely similar. Their games are similar, whether you want to think he's younger or not. Guys plateau all the time anyway. In terms of Jaden Ivey, I would have taken Jaden Ivey as well on draft night, 100%.
But now, given what you've seen this year, you've obviously had way more time to look at Keegan Murray. You've had time probably to look at Jaden Ivey. Like, what do you think now?
On
redraft today.
On what team though? Because on this team,
on the Kings, like like you do not take fit at number 4. You always take best player available. So I'm asking you based on what you've seen.
It's a hard because you kind of have to go fit right now because
I would never go fit. Just an FYI, if there are any NBA owners who are ever
knowing what I know now, there's no way I take Ivy over him.
All right. I mean, look, I think Keegan Murray has been really good, and I liked him for Iowa. I think he can get way better, for sure. DeMar DeRozan's still getting better. He's 32 years old, 33 years old. You can get better as long as you want. I just think that athletically, the upside, right? The tools, the upside, for some of those guys, it's just a little bit higher, and upside is upside. There's a good chance that Shaedon Sharpe is out, like Ben Mathurin, Shaedon Sharpe. These guys, they flashed all sorts of like crazy potential. Jalen Williams is another guy who seriously, if we did a redraft today, would have top 5 consideration. Ben Mathurin would have top 5 consideration. Jaden Ivey had. How old is Jalen?
He's a junior at Santa Clara, so he's pretty good. I mean, he's the guy that I compare to Keegan. Like, both those guys are older guys that just know how to play basketball. Like, they're just smart basketball players. I think he's going to be 22 this year.
Okay.
But he's a very good player. Like, I love Jalen Williams. Like, he's solid as hell.
So Jalen is 21, and he will be 22 on April 14th.
So this
That's
year,
crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay, so he is definitely older as well. For whatever reason, I do see him as having more upside than Keegan Murray, though, personally.
And that's fair. And I think part of it too is because of his style of play and
style of play, like growth, like potential, just in general. I know, like, I'm just saying his potential is higher because his potential is higher, but like just the expanded role, the playmaking potential, all the stuff that he does, his incredible wingspan, his very interesting shift and lateral movement and center of gravity. I think he, in terms of players that I think potentially
over the kid from Detroit, though.
You take him over Jaden Ivey. Mm-hmm. So, like, again, Ivey is an example of a guy who could. Okay, like here's the thing. I think what I said to you, and I'll be very curious to go and check back what I actually said to you and what I said in my pre-draft, or what I said in my draft grades, because that draft grades video is looking straight clownish right now. Hating on Paolo Banchero, hating on Walker Kessler, hating on, what else did I hate on? Ben Mathurin. I was like literally, if I'd said opposite, I would look like a genius. I was literally wrong on like 80% of everything I said on the draft grades video. I feel so sad. But I left it up because I take the L's and I'm just wanting to get better. But I honestly, I didn't do a very good job of scouting last year. I watched like 2-3 games. I looked at the analytics and I was like, okay, this is how I feel about this player. And I'm realizing you need to see so much more. If I had to look at like players that I think have more upside, I see 6, 7, 8 players that have more upside. If I had to see like floors, like Keegan Murray has one of the highest floors for me in this entire draft. Like his floor is higher than Chet. His floor is higher than almost everyone but Paolo. Right? Based on what I've seen, like Paolo and maybe just Paolo.
That's it, yeah.
In terms of floor, because there's only like, and I mean, again, like you typically see teams swing for upside in those top 5, 6 spots because those teams are bad, and they need stars, and they need like a superstar. And Jalen Williams, his pathway to becoming like a superstar, maybe it's not guaranteed at all. Nobody's guaranteed. Even Paolo is not guaranteed to be a superstar. But I think like if Jabari's pathway to becoming a superstar is like 5%, 8%, 2%, whatever it is, I think Keegan's is a little bit lower. That's all it is. Same thing with Dyson. Like there's
but everybody can't be a superstar though. So
absolutely not, and I agree with that.
You have to be either a guy that contributes to winning, like a Josh Hart,
mm-hmm.
or you can be this quote unquote upside superstar, but never live up to the hype, and then you're labeled as
Yeah.
a fucking bust. I'm gonna take Keegan Murray, who can flat out ball 10 out of 10 times. So
There's a value to a guy like that. It's not quite like taking Davion, right? Where it's like number one, thought there were better players on the board, and number two, they were way younger. Here, it's like there was almost no one who was better on the board this year. I could argue for Ben Mathurin, to be honest. I really could. Ben could have fit your system too, but
yeah,
whatever. Like him, and okay, so you look at someone like Keegan Murray, and you're like, there's a value to having a there's like a value of having a guy on that cheap a contract for 4 years, number one, who's ready to contribute right away. Because let's be honest, like Shaedon Sharpe is not helping the Portland Trailblazers win right now. And there's a chance he will never help them win. There's a chance that this is a guy that they include in a trade 3 years from now and he pops. There's also a chance that they have to wait 5 years until he contributes to winning in any significant way. I mean, honestly, there are guys who go 8-year careers and never have a positive box plus minus, right? So I just think that Keegan's floor is high enough that I could see him contributing to winning by as early as this year, next year. Like he's just so NBA ready. He doesn't force anything, right? Like everything's in rhythm. He's so intelligent, and that's such a positive quality to have. So yeah, I mean, like it's a little bit like the Suggs and Barnes debate. You know, Suggs has come on late. Like he's played really well. I think he's averaging something like 39% 3-point shooting over like 16, 17 game sample size. It's been good, and he's been healthy, right? But still, at his best, he's not a superstar. Like to me, it's like he's never going to be a superstar. Like I don't think Jalen Suggs is a superstar. I see him play a lot. I don't see superstar there, right? But he could be a really, really good star.
What do you mean by superstar? Like top 10 player?
Yeah.
Top 15?
Top 8, top 10, first team, second team All NBA, like that. Like Dame Lillard is Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. Like we're talking, yeah, pretty much there.
Yeah, I don't see Suggs to be there, but like I told you in that video that, you know, we received a lot of heat on that video from Magic fans. I just, you know, it was a Suggs video. And I told you, I'm like, Jameer Nelson, I think he's going to be better than Jameer Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
I still stand by that. I know you said he wouldn't be as good as Jameer Nelson. But he does things that contributes to winning. Like you put him like on a good team, it's about maximizing his skill sets, and he does do things that contribute to winning. So on the Magic, we'll see. But he's not as bad as you made him seem to be last year after the season ended, in my opinion.
Jalen Suggs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was totally like just still so pissed at Orlando Magic fans for cheering for them passing up Scotty Barnes. Like I was like for for Magic fans to cheer that hard, like they just won a fucking championship because we picked Scotty Barnes and Scotty Barnes was the player. Like that felt like insult to Scotty for me. So I was like, I'm gonna rain on their parade pretty hard. I really like for me, Jalen's like a crash test dummy. Like I don't think he'll ever be fully healthy. Personally, there's a lot of stuff about his psychological profile. You know, when he talks about basketball, that kind of worried me when I was digging into him pre-draft. But yeah, like I was very much on the I hope we trade Fred VanVleet for Jalen Suggs bandwagon like a month ago. Very much so, because I saw this shift in him coming.
He could be as good as Fred VanVleet one day, though.
100%, yes. Yes, his upside is way higher than Fred VanVleet. Athletically, physically, he can do things that Fred VanVleet can't even dream of.
Right.
He can get downhill. He can finish in the paint. He can finish both hands. He can block shots.
Like defensively, he's already really good at it.
He's really good defensively. Like he's probably the 4th or 5th best defender in that draft class, which is already something to say, you know. And he's young. He was an underclassman, Gonzaga, you know, freshman. So it's not like he's 22, 23 years old where I'm like, all right, well, obviously, you know, he's doing this against guys.
Why didn't that happen? Like, I would have loved to see Jalen and Scotty play together.
Yeah, that would have been great. They're boys, and they really are a vibe. Like I would like.
Why didn't that happen?
I don't think the Magic have any real reason to move off of a top 4 pick in order to get someone that they could just sign outright in the offseason. Why move an asset? I mean, Jalen Suggs, no matter what happens the rest of this year, he's still worth at least a first-round pick.
Yeah.
He might even be worth like a top 10 pick, top 12 pick from someone who's maybe not. But like, I'm pretty sure if you started dangling Jalen Suggs around the draft, you probably pick up a top 12, 13. Maybe you can pick up like 13th or 14th pick if you add like a future pick or something to it. That might be worth more to them than, paying for a guy just to come in a season you're trying to lose. Or Fred VanVleet's not going to help you lose. It's going to help you win for sure. I don't think that really helped them at all. And yeah, I'm not unsurprised, but it would have been great. Jonathan Isaac plus Jalen Suggs was what I was pitching. And honestly, I never really said it out loud, but I would have added a pick for that. 100%. Like Fred plus a pick to get Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac, I would have done it. And it sounds crazy to some people, but I would have done it.
Great fucking trade. People are delusional, bro.
Yep. I mean, look, if any NBA owners are out there, give me a job. Just give me a job. I'm just waiting for my chance. Put me in, coach. Put me in. Like I hope one day this long-awaited dream of mine will come true. But until then, I'm just gonna sit on here and burn every bridge I can by talking as much shit about Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam as humanly possible. Anyway, we're gonna get to Mario now, who's been patiently waiting for 2 hours. Appreciate Mario. Thank you so much for coming on, Leo. And best of luck to the Kings. Light the beam, man.
All right, buddy.
Peace. All right, Mario, thank you so much for being so patient. Appreciate it. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I was enjoying the Keegan Murray discussion. Don't stop on my account. The next time you're talking to that guy, ask him how many firsts and Keegan Murray would he give up for Pascal. I'm very curious if it's 1 or 2.
He's not the biggest Pascal fan, so I'm not sure you're gonna like the answer you get. But I will tell you that 2 months ago when we did a draft show, that Leo was willing to trade. I think it was Keegan plus 2 firsts for OG. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before I forget, I have 2 or 3 bones I really want to pick with you from the last couple of broadcasts.
Sure.
So, I heard you agree that Pascal was the number 2 option on the championship team. And if I could reach on behalf of Kyle Lowry, I'd give you a nice crisp slap for that one. Because
I didn't say that.
Somebody else said it and you agreed.
No, he's the number 2 scorer. He's not the second best player. But yeah, if he takes the second most shots, then he's the second leading scorer, yeah. But I've always been on the record saying he was the 4th best player on that team. The better players on the team included Marc Gasol, Kawhi Leonard, and Kyle Lowry. I think all 3 of them were better.
Okay. And then Devin Booker is not a number 2 option.
To Kevin Durant? Hell yes, he is.
Well, Kevin Durant is a basketball god. I mean, you could call Devin while Durant's healthy and on the court 1B, but he's a number 1 option in NBA.
I mean, you can say that, but at the same time, his analytics would firmly put him at a different tier than a Luka, than an Embiid, than a Jokic. So he's a notch below those guys. Now, you can say he's an assassin. It's super smooth. And I think that, with guys like Devin Booker, sometimes, it comes down to the eye test for a lot of people because it's just how we've always measured basketball. And the way Devin Booker scores, just like the way Anthony Simons scores, it's just so effortless, so smooth, so buttery, so flashy, so interesting to look at. It's mesmerizing. To the point where you sometimes don't realize that the impact that this guy should have. I mean, Devin Booker alone is not lifting you 20 wins, 15 wins, the way Kevin Durant or Jason Tatum or Luka Doncic is. So there are gaps and levels to this. He's an elite, first. If he was just a first option, it would not surprise me if his team ended up with 25 wins.
No, I'm not saying he's an elite first option. I'm just saying he's not a number 2.
I respectfully disagree. I'm not saying he's a number 2 in a derogatory sense to number 2s. I mean, I just want to point out that there was a time, when some serious Hall of Famers have been number 2 options. Like Dwayne Wade played number 2 to LeBron, and Dwayne Wade was a way better player. Tracy McGrady went to Orlando to play number 2 to Grant Hill. Tracy McGrady, as a 23-year-old would have been a better player than Devin Booker. So there are scales and levels to this. Like I think Devin Booker is firmly in the Manu Ginobili, probably a notch below probably in that range. People will not realize that. People will not agree with that because Manu's numbers were just so limited by the Spurs offense. But there was a very, very credible scout that I once spoke to at the height of Manu's career who said, really in the NBA, it's Kobe, Dwayne Wade, and Manu Ginobili as the 3 best shooting guards in the league. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, okay, so I would call many of the guys you're calling number 2s 1B. To me, Dwayne Wade was 1B, not 2. And there's a subtle difference, but whatever.
It's semantics, but sure. Yeah, I hear your point. I see your point as well. You're right. But in that case, a current version of Siakam, a 2-time All-NBA guy, 2-time All-Star, I think it'd be very difficult to say definitively. I mean, you realize the year after Kawhi left, we can agree, right? Kawhi, Danny leave, right? Marc Gasol is getting washed. Kyle Lowry was probably less effective that year. It was his last really good year, but he had taken a step back. Siakam was definitely the first option after Kawhi left. Right?
Yep.
Do you realize that the Raptors were on pace that year to have more wins in the year that they had Kawhi?
No, but we did have a really good year. I agree, but there's regular season and there's playoffs, right?
Sure. And we're I mean, apart from a finals run for Devin Booker, I mean, there's been a lot of playoff failure too, right? Or failure to get to the playoffs.
Yep. And then the third thing is I heard you report that you are Scotty's number 1 fan in the world.
100%.
Well,
wait. Hold on. I'm his number 1 fan that's not related to him.
Okay.
And does not train him.
Just so you know, there was a time about 21 months ago when Adam Silver said, and with the 4th pick, the Toronto Raptors select, and he paused, and I said Scotty Barnes. And
so what?
Well, I'm just saying I'm competing for that, and it's not just me.
Did you go 2 months prior to that and go on to the point and talk about it? Because I did that. Were you at that moment, the exact moment that he was drafted? Did you have a friend who was an NBA agent text you saying it's going to be Jalen Suggs as you chain smoked on a balcony because it was a prank and they knew how much you wanted Scotty on this team? Bro, I've been following Scotty for a really long time. Like, for me, Scotty going to the Raptors is not the reason I'm a Scotty fan. I don't know if anyone can tell that from the everything about me, but basically the minute Scotty was drafted to the NBA, he became my favorite player in the NBA, number 1. Number 2, whatever team was going to draft him, that was going to be the team that I watched every single day for the next 15 years. This is 1000% commitment. Like you would commit to your brother or blood. That's how sincere and straightforward this is for me. I think Scotty is generational talent. I really do.
I agree. So, I mean, to me, it was about Mobley or Barnes, and that was for number 1, not for number 4. And my thought,
I think Evan Mobley's amazing.
What's that?
I think Evan Mobley's amazing. And the Raptors, if they had moved up to number 3 or whatever, I would have supported, trading assets to get him. The debate is not really even for me Cade versus Scotty, Mobley versus, I don't fucking care. The point was to support him, not how good a player is he going to be. There are a lot of players in this league that I support unconditionally. I'll give you an example. DeJounte Murray, one of them. Jason Tatum, Scotty Barnes, Nikola Jokic, apart from when he shoved Scotty Barnes, in which case it became personal. Robin Lopez.
I love that you like Daniel Gafford.
I do like Daniel Gafford. He's cool. So basically, like, there's some people where either you met them at some point, or some part of their story, or you know their grandma, or you know their mom, or you know their dad, or you know somebody, whatever. Something is connected between you and this person. You're from the same village. I don't know, like whatever it is, but it's kindred and forever. Like, I will never not support DeJounte Murray. It's forever cemented. He could kill somebody. I don't care. Like, I'm supporting him. John Morant. I'm supporting John Morant no matter what. Like, flash a gun, act like an absolute idiot. I will not agree with that, what he did, but I support him 100%. Loyalty is very lost in this world in 2023. I find, personally, I don't flip-flop on people. Like, for me, like, look, like, funny thing, I supported Andrea Bargnani in 2006. I was there at his draft. I mean, for me, Andrea was like, I really, really, like, I saw him in Italy. I thought he was great, whatever. He didn't work out. I still haven't turned on him. To this day, I haven't turned on him. I will acknowledge he did not work out. I'll acknowledge that he was not a great player. I'll acknowledge, all sorts of things that the Raptors could have drafted somebody else, whatever. It doesn't matter. The support for him is unconditional. Cool. Yeah.
So, no, I mean, I didn't talk to an NBA scout at the draft, but I did do my research and I did pick him. And last summer, I was saying, whether it's in 3 months or in 3 years, you should get ready for 30-point near triple doubles. That's what Scottie's about to start throwing down. And so I'm sitting here tonight with a little smile on my face because,
good stuff.
Just beginning of it, right? It's going to be like 3 times a week. He's throwing numbers like this in a couple of years. So let me tell you something. Watching the LA broadcast,
all right,
they tell us that they disagreed with your point about stars always show up. They said Anthony Davis averaged something like 35 points in the last 5 games.
33.
They were absolutely shocked that Scottie and OG took him away by fronting him. Right? And we did. Closed them right down. And they were just like, we're so lucky because we didn't think somebody could close down AD like this.
I don't think that, first of all, big difference. The Lakers had guys going. I think that if a star, like a superstar, like a Nikola Jokic and Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, whatever, if one of these guys has a teammate that's got it going and a matchup that's favorable for that teammate, like, to not let that continue going until that other team stops it would be actually destructive to your team, and I don't expect any good superstar to do that. So I don't understand why they disagree with me. I agree with how Anthony Davis played tonight. If his team was struggling, if everyone was struggling, and he just was putting up bad shots and not trying on defense, I think I have a bigger issue with that. The Raptors shut down stars. It's just what they do. They did it last year with Luka. They tried to do it with Luka. Didn't work always. They did it with Kevin Durant 2-3 times this year where KD's shot attempts were down. They did it with Donovan Mitchell. The first three games that they matched up against the Cavs, they held him to very low points. So, look, they've done this before. They've shown that they have the personnel and penchant to do this. What they don't have is the ability to stop the second person.
Well, we're late on the help. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Pascal isn't injured or something. I've seen him play a lot better defense than this. But
I don't see him moving differently at all, personally. He looks disinterested, disengaged, and somewhat mentally checked out. I've seen other players do this as well. Gary, Precious, Scottie. I've seen a lot of mentally not quite sharp games. Tonight, Scottie felt sharp mentally. OG felt dialed in. There are games where OG floats a lot, where he's a little passive. Maybe he doesn't hunt it. Tonight, you could tell OG wanted it. He took those first 2 shots with confidence. They went in. I'm not surprised. Same thing with Scottie. Scottie came out really aggressive against the Clippers. He came out really aggressive against the Lakers. Both games, he came out super aggressive, and you could tell there was like a different step for him. LA it's personal with him. So, I mean, he grew up a huge fan of the Lakers, watching those, the purple and gold run up and down. I mean, there's got to be something extra to him there, right? Going up against LeBron, like if LeBron had played tonight, I guarantee Scottie plays even better. because that's personal.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
There's another guy who wants to be on the greatest fans list, and that's Drew Gooden, who's the color guy for Washington.
Hey man, more fans the merrier. I don't care. I mean, I know personally, like, it doesn't really matter to me. Like you know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. I remember last year, right before the rookie of the year vote, right? I started messaging like a bunch of NBA people that I knew had votes. I didn't have a vote, but I know a lot of people who do. And I started messaging them like analytics and stats and whatever. I started messaging emails because I really wanted Scotty to win this. I knew it was a goal for him. I knew it was important to him. I know that he hadn't pushed for it, but I thought it would be really important for him to win it. And all I heard back was, "Oh, it's Will Liu and Alex Wong who did it." You know, they went on, you know, the Yahoo Sports or whatever, and they started talking about Scotty being rookie of the year, whatever. At the end of the day, I don't fucking care. I don't care how he got it. I just care that he got it. If I did 1%, 0%, it doesn't matter. Actually, it's, you know, it reminds me of my best friend in 2013. She put on a piano concert, and it was at Glen Gold Studio. Her name is Angelica, and she put on this concert. And I went around the city and I printed off like a bunch of flyers, which were sloppily designed on Microsoft Paint because I didn't know shit about Photoshop back then. And I plastered these all over the city. I was like blasting them out. I was just trying to support my friend putting up this concert. And the reason I wanted to support her was because, one, I love her. She's one of my best friends. But the other thing was, at the time, what had happened was her student who she was teaching, he said, "Oh, you'd be lucky if 25 people show up." I never forgot that. Because there was a part of her that was just like very discouraged when he said that. And I was like, we're going to sell out Glen Gold Arena for you. Glen Gold Studio is a pretty big venue to sell out, right? Like it's got, I think, at least 200 people, 150, 200 people to get those people out for piano. So I put up these flyers everywhere. And to this day, I will tell you, I have no idea if it made any impact. I don't even know. It cost $60, $70 to print those out. It took 2, 3 days, 4 days to put them up. I went to every music store in all the city to talk to the owner about it. And to this day, I have no idea if one person who showed up came because they saw my flyers or heard about that concert from me. What I do know, however, is that the person who was playing at that concert knew that someone had done this for her. That mattered more to me than anything else. And that very energy that you put into the world is what comes back to you. I think that it's important to me that Scotty knows that someone who understands basketball quite a bit, in my opinion, myself, that I vouch for and believe in him completely 1000% this much. And it doesn't matter if anybody else hears it. I want him to hear it. Everything here is like, I want him to hear that he is a superstar even when he's averaging 12, 13 points, that he will eventually become that. And I don't think that it's even a question in his mind if he's going to be all NBA or one of the top players in the league. He's always had this vision for himself, and I'm not even trying to act like, I just want to be the safety net that in case there's one day where he wakes up and he's like, mate, wait, am I ever going to be an MVP candidate? That there's a video from Pittsburgh basketball that reminds him, yes, you are. Keep going. You know, this is really about supporting good basketball. Because I think, you know, the more kids grow up watching Scotty Barnes play the right way, the better basketball is going to be. This is about growing the game. Scotty is a vehicle to grow the game. So yeah, that's just philosophically where I'm at with this. It's probably a little deeper than, you know, yay, this guy plays in my city. But supporting Scotty is supporting good basketball.
Well,
and supporting a good person.
That's why I wanted to share this story for Drew Gooden told on the air to you.
Sure. What do you say?
Well, he saw Scotty play in high school when he was like 17. And
I saw Scotty play before that. But anyways, it doesn't fucking matter. It's not a competition.
So he saw
you know Kyle Lowry saw him when he was in grade 7?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Do you know that he went viral in grade 8 for a mixtape?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. So yeah, so LeBron James saw him in grade 7. Kyle Lowry saw him in grade 8. Grade 7, 8, 9. Vince Carter saw him pretty early. Bradley Beal, I believe, saw him play really early. Jason Kidd. So basically anyone claiming that, oh, I knew about Scottie in grade 11. Yeah, everyone in the world who knows about basketball knew about Scotty Barnes in grade 8.
Do you want to hear the story?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so Drew says, like he goes to this game and he doesn't realize, he realizes now, but he doesn't see Cade Cunningham, he doesn't see Moses Moody, and he lists, I don't know who the other team was, but he lists 4 or 5 guys that are ridiculously well thought of, right? He said, I only saw one person on the floor, and that was Scotty Barnes. And I asked myself, who the hell is this kid who can guard 1 through 5 and shut absolutely everybody down? And that's his identity, right? Like, that's who, whatever he grows to be offensively, that's what a lot of the accolades are. And like you say, I mean, it's about the IQ and the approach to the game and the unselfishness. And I question in 5 years whether he is a number 1 passing option, you know what I mean, or whether he evolves to be the number 1 scoring option. Because I can see Scottie becoming like Scottie Pippen, the world's greatest number 1B or 2, to someone else who's an even better scorer, and be the guy who makes sure he can give you whatever you need that day to win. Or I can see him being the guy who's scoring 35. And I don't know which one he's going to turn out to be.
I don't think there are a lot of guys who could score 35 that you could say would be a great 1B.
No, but I mean, maybe he's only putting up 20. You know what I mean? And passing more and having 15 assists.
I think Scottie's going to be a winner no matter what he does, whether it results in 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and we're talking about, an all-NBA guy who averages 20 points per game, or whether it's 35, 5, and 5, and we're talking about an all-NBA guy who impacts the game more as a scorer. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If you think about it, he's going to do what his team needs him to do, right? He's going to do what his team needs him to do on a nightly basis. At some point, he should, based on his physical skill set, based on how he sees the game, he should be able to drop 25 in his sleep. That should be no questions asked. Like, his skill development work is so far behind where a guy of, that's scoring how much he's scoring, doing as much as he's asked to do, where that guy should be, right? Him and OG specifically, like, their skill development is so far behind a guy like Siakam. In terms of what they can do with the basketball, in terms of how comfortable those reps are for them, and Siakam is so far behind Luka. So there are so many levels to this, and to say it, like, Scottie's vision for the game is like an A. If Magic Johnson's an A+, then Scottie's like an A. And his skill development, if Siakam's skill development is like a B+, and Luka's like an A+, Scottie's like a D right now, maybe a D-. There's so much work to do. So like it's coming, like, it's not an F, but he's like, there are guys in college right now, like Scoot's got a bigger bag than him right now. Wembanyama's got more skills than him right now. Those guys are 18 years old. Once that stuff catches up, and it will catch up, because that always comes down to repetition and training and repetition and progression over time. Once that stuff comes, and it's coming, we saw a lot of it tonight. We saw moves that he was pulling off. Like, I've never seen him do those moves in an NBA game, but now it's just comfortable getting to certain places on the court. Now all of the A vision and the A physical profile is now being bridged by, okay, tonight, instead of a D skill set, he was able to flash potential of a C skill set. Now, what will this look like as his body gets bigger and better? Because obviously, guy's 21 years old. He's not done growing physically. I'm not saying he's going to get taller or whatever, but guys at 25 are way stronger than they are at 21. Can you imagine this guy at 25? I mean, remember Siakam at 21? He was in college. Siakam at 23 was in the G League. Like, Siakam at 23 was a 6-point per game scorer, I think, in the NBA. Like, I understand he picked up basketball late, but a lot of what he was going through was about physicality of the NBA. Scotty Barnes is a man in the NBA. So yeah, there's a chance he falls. Yeah, and I don't even care to entertain this idea because I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm saying like, there's a chance that he ends up plateauing physically, progressing minimally in the skill set department, and he'll become exactly the type of player you're talking about, which is a elite B.
The reason I think about it is because I want to build around him. So if he's my lead guard and he's not my lead scorer, then I'm looking for a different player than if he's my lead guard and he's my lead scorer. And again, I mean, I'm not attached to it. It's just amusing for me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to give you feedback on your videos if you want that.
Sure. What's up?
Well, before I start that, at the end when you were talking last show, I thought, I think I explained to you, I don't have an ability to give you a like or a comment or a super chat on YouTube. I don't have an account. But my preferred form of currency is frozen meat. And I have multiple freezers. I'm a farmer. And I have pasture-raised pork, and I definitely have a rack of ribs for you. And or something else, maybe have you ever tried candied salmon?
No.
Okay, maybe I'll send you some cans of local candied salmon or something. I'll have to get an address off.
What's local for you? Vancouver?
I'm halfway up the Big Island, about 100 miles north of Vancouver.
You know I'm in Toronto, yeah?
I do. But I mean, the mail works. I can't send you frozen meat, but I could send you canned.
Like in an envelope?
Yeah, a little box.
That's very nice of you, man. I appreciate the sentiment.
Anyway, so I want to say that, like you're talking about Scotty, to a certain extent, you are for me what Scotty is for you on a certain singular level.
I appreciate the comparison, but I just want to say, like, I thought about you saying that, and as much as, it's very nice and favorable for me to hear that, I understand where you're coming from. Scotty Barnes is, like, one of the top 3 to 4 people in his age bracket in the world at what he does. I'm not one of the top, probably 2 people at what I do in my city block. You know what I mean? So
there is something that you're doing, which is, to me, I believe is exceptional. And so you fully understand what I'm talking about. 30 years ago, I designed a new analytical system to understand the game of baseball, and I cracked it mathematically.
Okay.
And I'm on the verge, maybe not, maybe I'm fooling myself, but I think I'm on the verge of doing it with basketball, but it's too much. I can't do it by myself. And I'm, listening for people who understand what I understand, and you seem to understand, maybe even on a more profound level, what it is that I'm looking at that I'm really curious about. Cool. So for another time,
send it with the salmon, man. Send it with the salmon.
So okay, here's feedback for you. So I loved the one that you showed us tonight, and I laughed in a whole number of parts.
That's good.
There's 2 phases. So there's a part in the middle and a part at the very end where it feels more like some sort of biting, bitter sarcasm rather than playful humor. And the rest of the video is the playful humor, and it's that thing I heard you say about a week ago when you did those other 2, which I watched, the one on Fred and Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
And now YouTube's decided they should show me everything you put out. So they keep showing me stuff every time I click on.
Appreciate it.
And
bless the algorithm, man. Bless the algorithm. All right.
Again, they don't really know me because I'm only so signed in, but whatever. So you seem to have created 2 identical Scotty videos with different music and then maybe changed them or something. I don't know what that was about, but there seemed to be 2 that were almost identical.
They were, and one of them has been moved to unlisted because I got feedback that the Easy E mix was not as on point as I thought it was. Look, I try new things all the time. It's probably my my favorite quality about me is that I'm willing to try anything. Like, not not maybe not anything, but I'm willing to try things that I know that I could be really bad at. Because
good for you.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really underrated quality to have as a human being. It's something that I really deeply admire in other people when they're willing to look foolish and whatever. So yeah, I was willing to try to remix an Eazy-E song and see if it worked, and if I could skirt the copyright stuff. And some people gave me feedback that it wasn't very good. I listened to it with more critical ears. I tended to agree, and quite frankly, that song, just using that song was an inside joke, for Scotty. And quite frankly, I did not want to butcher an all-time, classic rap song that meant a lot to me when I was younger. So I decided to move it over to P Rain. So yeah, I apologize. I'm sure that people.
I just like the second one a little better, but whatever.
Me too. Me too.
In terms of the Fred and Pascal videos, before I watched them, I remembered you saying something about this is probably going to lose me subscribers.
Oh, and yeah. It did.
When I saw them, I went, yeah, this is probably going to lose some subscribers. And it's
and it did.
And it's like, what's the analogy I want to use? You can't end war with war. You have to end it with peace. And you can't get people to respect basketball and Scotty by disrespecting Fred and Pascal. It's something like that's kind of, too clean, but that's my kind of feedback about your other videos in general. I think if you want both the subscribers and to be true to yourself,
I don't care about the subscriber part. I want to be true to myself. The subscribers, look, I mean, I just want to put this out there for anybody who's like worried about losing subscribers. Maybe you have a YouTube channel. Maybe you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel. Maybe you have an Instagram page and you're worried about people unfollowing you. Yo, I just want to say this out there. Content is king. There are a lot of channels out there that have 5 times, 10 times, 15 times more subscribers. I'm not even gassing this up a little bit. We did an interview with Brian, which is about 45, 50 minutes, right? 55 minutes. Longer videos tend to do pretty poorly on YouTube, especially if they're not like consistently and amazingly like engaging throughout, or they're not like, let's put it this way. It's awkward to post a 55 or 45 or 35-minute interview with someone who's not like a major high-end celebrity on a platform that isn't known for that.
Sure.
So it's an awkward thing for an algorithm to pick up on, but also awkward for audiences. So Yahoo Sports has 30,000 subscribers. They're a pretty big thing, Yahoo Sports Canada. Pensar Basketball has 5,000 subscribers. At the time when we posted the Brian thing, we probably had 4,500. Our video has outperformed their interview, I want to say 5 times over, 4 times over. It's gotten a lot more views. At the end of the day, subscribers are just a vanity metric. It's something that people feel better about. Obviously, if you gave me a choice, more subscribers, less subscribers, I'll choose more subscribers. But I want subscribers who like are here for they're really here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what I'm saying though is I'm not talking about losing frivolous subscribers. What I'm saying is people don't like a certain level of negativity, and
I get that.
And so I don't know exactly how to explain what I'm trying
to. I get it. I get it. Look, I mean, there's a way to be insightful and, honest without being overly negative. One thing that I don't know who said it to me, but somebody said to me, and it was on Facebook, and they messaged me and they said, listen, people probably think that you know basketball, but people probably also don't like you very much. And you can definitely keep the first part while changing the second part. And it's stuck with me a while of like, am I doing myself any favors by being such a dick sometimes, because I'm not a dick. Like I'm not a bad person. I am actually genuinely saying this. I'm a good person. Like I am 100% a good person. I operate with honesty and integrity. I don't fuck people over. I don't cheat people out of stuff. Like I say what I mean. I am a good person. I've always been a good person. And I don't think that, to me, it's like at some point I do have to acknowledge that it's not really even effective to be trashing Siakam. It almost like you create a situation where other people have to like defend him. And in order to defend him, they almost feel like, okay, well, you put down Pascal Siakam, I'm going to put down Scotty Barnes, right? Like, it almost makes it like, adversarial. And I would never want anything that I say about Pascal to come back as something that, some other channel or some other media person says about Scotty. I think that's such a petty and stupid way to react to things. It's not like, do you know what I mean?
I do.
But at the same time, like, you're right too. Like, there's an effective way to message things. And I thought that this video that I did, this honest trailer, could be a way to bridge what I want to say while being humorous. Because even Khan, who's very, very, very against most of my Siakam stuff, he gave $100 super chat to us today because he's like, this made me laugh. Well, that's the point, right? Like, humor is a way through the noise. Like, it can get through to people. Like, there might be a movie that people just defend, but then they see an honest trailer for it, and it's like, the movie is kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, you can laugh. Laughter bridges a lot of stuff. So I haven't always been good at getting people to like me because I don't try to get people to like me. I don't think about that stuff. But at some point, I do have to acknowledge how am I saying what I'm saying, and do I lose anything by just adjusting the messaging, being a little bit kinder? Because, like, to me, it's like I grew up around so many people who are so political and so conniving and somewhat manipulative. So for me, I almost carved out an identity as anti-them. So I saw people finesse favors and talk nice about somebody behind someone's back and then talk different about somebody else. And I was just like, I'm never going to be that way. I'm just going to tell it 100% that way. And it's just like, okay, well, what if you could tell it 100% the way you like? What if you could tell the truth 100%, but then you could add a joke right at the end to make it a little bit less threatening, or smile a little bit more while you're saying it? Like, does that change it? And then to me, it just was like, it's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Like, you start doing that too much. Daryl, who's a longtime commenter on this chat, if he's watching, I made a post the other day about gaslighting on Facebook, and I was just talking about like how gaslighting works and how I just despise people who do it. And he had a completely opposite take. He was just like, man, I used to look at people who gaslit other people and think they got away with everything. This is such a valuable skill to have. Completely different approach to everything. So Fred VanVleet bothers me intellectually just because I've watched people like him get away with things my whole life. Anyways, TMI, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. And I think that there's something when I'm listening to you talk, there's a couple of little things that come up for me. The one is the term dangerous tigers. So this is an idea that I know in terms of thought and conversation, where there's part of our brain that's hardwired when you see a dangerous tiger, like a real live 500-pound cat, without a fence between you and it's only 20 feet away, your visceral experience is real. You feel it. It scares you. No words should be considered dangerous tigers. And yet most of us, when we hear something we really disagree with, we allow the part of our being that responds to dangerous tigers to respond to words, and that's when we start losing. That's an idea that somebody taught me like 35 years ago. And it's
a very good idea. Yeah, it's a very good idea. This is probably going to veer off a little bit off topic, but since you broached it, this concept of dangerous tigers yesterday, my girlfriend and I talked about freedom, right? We both want freedom. We have completely different associations in terms of the terms that we've associated with freedom. For instance, for me, owning property equals freedom, right? Owning property, less items in my home equals freedom. Yeah. For her, however, more clothes equals freedom of choice, the choice to be able to, match this dress with the shoe. So when my concept of freedom, which is less shit in our house that we share together, when that contradicts her need for freedom, which is more shit, that's when we're at odds, and that's when we have very explosive fights. And in that moment, it never occurred to me to think I'm trying to take away her freedom, even though what I view as her freedom What I view as basically what she views as her freedom is what I believe that she's enslaved by, which is her items, her attachments to those items. And I thought that was a really fantastic thing to be able to, break it down, because it reminds me of something that Dave Chappelle said during one of his comedy specials, where he said, he called out this hustler who was hustling a whole bunch of people during using a gambling trick, and that person nearly killed him. He grabbed him by the throat, and when he called him out, he said, at that moment I learned a very valuable lesson, which is don't get between a man and his next meal.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting. And it's so interesting how, like, in that moment you're calling out a scam, but that scam is his next meal. He has made the association between scam and meal that you have failed to make yourself. Calling out Fred VanVleet in these videos, because I believe that he is just toxic in so many ways, he's still just doing what he needs to do to provide for his family and his family's family and his family's family's family. He's trying to live out the American dream just like everybody else. His dream is no different than Scottie's dream, right? Scottie's trying to take care of people in his life. Fred's trying to take care of people in his life. Fred's trying to give back to Rockford. Scottie's trying to give back to, West Palm Beach. They've all got people that helped them get from point A to point B to point C to point D. None of this is lost on me, but in the moment, it's very difficult.
It is.
Right? Because what I have associated is that Scottie is right. Scottie is young, and Scottie is right. Now, the interesting thing here is how much of this is projection?
Exactly.
How much of this is real and how much of this is projection? And that's why I constantly have to shit test it. I constantly have to ask people, is this real? Is this beef real, or am I seeing it? They unfollow each other. Okay, now it's a little bit more real. There's bad body language. It's a little bit more real. They start talking to this person and they're like, oh, they haven't talked in this many days. Okay, and now it's more real. So the vibe eventually is just, I realized also that younger people are impressionable and younger people need to be protected. I have always had this mentality that when I see a child in need, like if I was tutoring, like I used to run a tutoring company, if I saw a child who was being abused, now I'm not saying this ever happened. If it happened, I would call it out. I would talk to the parents, and if the parent refused to stop, I would call the cops. Like, that's, to me, like, that's stepping in, protecting a child. For me, protecting someone young from someone who is abusing them or older is a personal trigger for me. So if I know that, Fred is going to manipulate his younger teammates to take the fall for shit that he's doing so that he can leverage, their failures, and he's totally self-centered in so many ways, in my opinion. Again, my opinion. I don't know him. I've never talked to Fred VanVleet. But in my opinion, he's so self-centered. He doesn't care if he derails their career. He ends up, stunting their growth in some way, as long as he gets his.
So let me share with you a couple of little bits and pieces.
Sure.
So first of all, I think I told you I ran a poll about, I called it the Foster Barnes show, and was trying to gauge, did people consider that Scottie's malfunction, or did they consider it Scott Foster's malfunction? Mm-hmm. And it's like 4-1, it's Scott Foster's problem and not Scottie's.
That's also a Raptor forum that you asked that question.
No, it's on the general board. That's real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I would say it's in my mind, in my projection, there is a 50% chance that Masai told him to do it and paid the fine, and that this is
told who to do what?
Told Fred that he could go off, and that it is defending Scottie, and that the result has been that I have watched now and lined up on the thread that I have on Real GM, like 10 different videos of high-level people, not high-level, but high-level in sports media, defending the fuck out of Scotty Barnes. And he is loved already, amongst people who don't know him, just by the way he's come to the game.
The Scottie Foster situation happened like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
all the outpouring of support for him came the next day. All of it. Almost all of it. There's no support coming after the Fred thing. The support now after Fred's rant is for Fred speaking the truth and speaking out what people think. Okay?
Almost everybody mentions Denver with the conversation, and
yeah, because it's impossible to ignore that the two things are cascading. But like, look, the support for Scottie and the ridiculousness of Jeff Foster, Scott Foster, that whole thing happened the next day. Like, Scott Foster got roasted literally the next day. So as logically as you could say, oh, Scott, Fred is, coming out in support of Scottie. Scottie does not need Fred to support him. Scottie supported himself by calling Scott Foster a cheater to his face like 6 times as he was getting walked out. I think that takes balls, by the way, as a young player, to feel like you're a cheater, to just mouth that very openly to a referee who's a senior referee as a second-year player. Fred would not have done that in his second year. And there are not a lot of players in this league who have the confidence and the balls to do that. So the support for Scottie saying that Foster was wrong, that Scottie was wronged in that situation came the next day. Almost every single show covered it. They thought it was ridiculous. They said these referees are going too far. So as logically as you're making a case that Fred came to Scottie's aid, I could say Scottie set the tone, Fred followed.
Yeah,
it's just as logical.
I'm saying 50-50. I don't know what really happened.
Well, no, you said 50-50 that Masai orchestrated this, gave Fred the green light to do this in defense of Scottie. And I say I give that situation a likelihood of 0.0001%. Okay. Because number one, it's not necessary for Fred to stick up for Scottie. Scottie's more than capable of sticking up for himself. He has plenty of people in his life who love him and care about him, who do that for him, and plenty of players around this league that are probably more connected to him than Fred VanVleet, who would do that for him on his behalf, and did so on Twitter. I don't remember Fred VanVleet coming to his aid 3 months ago when he was being dogged for work ethic questions. He never came out and said, oh no, I watch him every single day. I watch him in the summer. He works super hard. I never heard that from Fred VanVleet. No, who supported in support of him? Kyle Kuzma on another team. That's my point. There are other players who went on, national television and said, like, this is ridiculous. Like, this shit is, the shit Doug Smith is saying is wrong. Fred VanVleet did not do that for him back then. He gave his typical political answer. I'm not saying, look, it's not lost on me that Fred VanVleet and Scotty Barnes may have some sort of, little brother, big brother, tough love type of situation going on. It's not lost on me that that's in the realm of possibilities. But what is never going to, I don't want to say never, what's not likely to me is that Fred VanVleet would do something in service of Scottie that would cost him $30,000. And if you're suggesting that Masai Ujiri asked him to do it and then he agreed to pay the fine, I doubt that. That would be weird. And why wouldn't Masai just do it himself? It does not seem to me that that's how Masai would operate.
Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, to me, it's not about supporting as much as it turns the spotlight a little bit, and so it doesn't remain like the history of the whole thing doesn't remain about Scottie, and he doesn't get a reputation, and instead the reputation of being the talk backer lands on Fred. And maybe for the long term in Scottie's career, maybe that's a smart thing. If Masai did it on purpose, maybe that's a smart move. But I can't prove any of this. It's
the history between Fred VanVleet, and Ben Taylor is pretty clear. Ben Taylor's he's I believe he's received 8 technicals this year. Fred VanVleet, 3 of them have been from Ben Taylor. This is obviously a personal thing with Ben Taylor. Specifically, he did not call out referees in general. He did not say referees. He specifically targeted one specific referee. Most of his ire was directed towards that one referee, and even went as far as to say that he's not a person who picks up a lot of technicals, but that half of his technicals have been with this guy, and that is verified true. That of the 8 technicals, 3 have been directly from Ben Taylor. Sorry, Ben Foster. I'm thinking about the actor Ben Foster. Ben Taylor. And the other one was from a referee in a game that Ben Taylor was refereeing. So if Fred is doing, causation, correlation, whatever, half of his technicals have come in games where he was refereed by Ben Taylor. However, I will say that what Kate Burness or Sam Mitchell, whoever's the hell said it earlier, which is that, look, all year Fred VanVleet is making excuses. All year. Okay? He did not hold back, saying it was funky lineups. He blamed the coaching staff, funky lineups, blame management, whoever you want to blame for funky lineups. He's talked about the Raptors play funky lineups. Last year, he blamed Scotty Barnes and the need to have Scotty Barnes having the ball and how, Scotty has the ball a lot. I made clips of this. So he blamed Scotty having the ball a lot for his woes last year. He blamed Delano Banton playing minutes and young guys, whatever. He always shields himself. It's never his fault. It's always somebody else's fault, right? He blames funky lineups. He blames the youth. Now we've run out of youth. We've run out of funky lineups. The kids aren't playing. Christian Koloko isn't playing. Justin Champagne's been waived. Malachi Flynn's not playing. Who are you going to blame now? Well, then he blamed health. Then he blamed his role. Then he said, it's because I have to play off the ball. That's why we suck. It's because we played off the ball. Then he talks about, we don't have a center. So they get them a center. They stop playing the kids because obviously it's pissing old man Fred off, right? They're playing veterans now. The youngest player who's playing right now is Scotty Barnes. All the other guys are not playing. So now you've run out of excuses. So now it's time to blame the refs. Because after this, who's left? God?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I like Fred's accountability. That's not my point. Fred is not Kyle, and Kyle was amazing, and we're spoiled to a certain degree from Kyle. But I think he's going to become a new Kyle over time. But you can't be Kyle when you're 21. It just won't work.
Kyle was an absolute menace, for his coaching staff, for his management team, well into his 30s. Kyle Lowry is a very misunderstood person.
Have you heard this story about he spent like $100,000 or $500,000 a year on the young guys?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I mean,
I know a lot more about Kyle Lowry than probably. It's going to sound very egotistical if I say more than anybody, but it's more than most people. I know a lot about him, ins and outs, and how he was, and who he was, and I can just say that based on the conclusion of the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the high moments, the low moments, I came to the conclusion always that Kyle Lowry was a good person, who did right by people in general. And so whether he was having bad moments where he's very temper tantrumy, or whether he did something egregious and horrible to somebody and I knew about it, in the end of the day, I always said that I felt like his heart was in the right place and that he was a person who was sincerely about what he was about. That's sort of just why Kyle had my support. It's kind of like why DeMar has my support. And it's why Scotty has my support. And I think Scotty's going to be a better player than both those guys. Just saying.
So it ties back into what you were saying about wanting to help the child. Okay. And my father had a way of communicating this, and he communicated it very powerfully to me. He was born in Naples, Italy. Mm-hmm. And he was the son of a noble family and was raised in a noble setting, if you understand what I'm saying. And what he taught me was that the idea of being a noble is to balance the good of the community with the good of the self, and that it is not a hereditary right, it is an activity. And the way you talk about that kid makes you a nobleman in my definition. And the way Kyle treats the young guys makes him a nobleman in my definition. And maybe that's too easy, but what you're saying is do the right thing. And I think the more nuanced thing is it's not about martyrdom. It's about balancing what's good for those around you with what's good for yourself.
I agree with that. And I think that's as good a point as any to part for the night. It is very late here. It's 4:19 in the morning in Toronto. So thank you so much, Mario, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I always appreciate our talks. sometimes they go in very abstract directions, chess, other things, whatever, but always interesting. And it's funny, whether it's you or Vince, we're almost always closing the night with someone Italian, so that's cool. All right.
All right, bud. Have a good night.
Cheers, man. Have a good night. All right. Surprise, surprise, on a channel named Pensare Basketball that you're closing the conversation with someone Italian. I just want to say thank you to everyone who stuck out with us. Thank you to Con, and thank you to Sean, and Con and Sean, that rhymes. And everyone who gave a super chat. If I missed it, I apologize. I was so sleepy around 11 o'clock. I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this live. And now it's 4 a.m. and I'm wide awake. It's energizing to watch your favorite player put up 32 points. It sucks to watch him have to take a loss. I know that he wanted to win tonight. Very curious to see the post games now, but Darian, thanks a lot, man. Absolutely. A lot of people tell me, off the air or maybe via DM or whatever, that they've been thinking about calling in. Call in. I don't bite. I promise we'll have a interesting discussion regardless of what it is. And it's always nice to hear from, the regular callers like Coach Mo, FA. I'm sure if this team was, doing a little bit like more in the direction that this channel typically wants to go, which is build around Scotty, build around OG, trade everyone, whatever. I'm pretty sure like these lives would be popping off. Like we were getting 350, 400 people, but I'm not unaware of just how incredible the support is. And trust me, I've talked to people who say that these lives help them go to sleep. That even though it says 146 people in this live right now, that some people have already fallen asleep with this on. And that's such a nice thing as someone who's had trouble falling asleep for large parts of my life. To be able to actually help other people fall asleep is such an amazing feeling. So I'm really happy that this is something that people go to bed sleeping to. And look, I'm gonna try to be. I'm not gonna tell you I'm ever gonna be, toxic positive or whatever. I'm just gonna try to lighten up my critique. And by lighten up, I don't mean soften up. I just mean lighten up. As in, if I have to, rip Fred and Pascal for what they do, I'm going to try to do it in a funny way, as opposed to a serious, mean, cruel, whatever way. I'm going to try to do it in a funny way, because I can be funny. I can be funny as hell if I want to be. So trying to use humor to not mask the frustration, but amplify the frustration, I think would be a very, interesting way to, because look, Jerry Seinfeld bitches about airplane peanuts. Like Dave Chappelle bitches about, not bitches about, but, has massive rants and bits about things that bother him in the world. And you walk away from that not only having received that information, but probably being far more receptive to it. So I think humor is the way to go when it comes to negative critique. And, maybe some of these longer shows, they could be a lot more palatable if we could stick to the upside. Anyway, have a good night, y'all. To the 145 people still watching, thank you so much. And make sure to hit subscribe, and I will do my best to drop that Honest trailer in its full form, in corrected form, with different audio, different video. Don't worry. I think too often sometimes I'll end up reposting something that I've already shared in this live, and then the video doesn't do well because you guys are the first people that are seeing it, and you don't click on it because you think, I already watched that during the live. Don't do that. The next time you see that Honest trailer video, expect better voiceover, better video, better everything. So don't allow the fact that you already saw it once, twice tonight to stop you from watching it the third time. It will be better. It will be different. If I had any intention of posting this one, I would have actually posted it. I was thinking about posting at 6 o'clock, and I showed it to my girlfriend. She's like, this doesn't work. That doesn't work. You really want this to like blow up in the world, then, do it right. So I'm going to take the time tomorrow to work off of what I have, make it a little bit better, a little bit tighter, re-record the voiceover, try to deepen my voice a little bit more, make it sound more like the Honest trailer guy. And hopefully it's just, with a little bit of work, it can be perfect. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Good sleep. Good. And congratulations to Scotty Barnes. Career high, man. Career high. And I just imagine what he probably felt looking up at that Raptors, seeing Kobe's jersey there, Magic's jersey there. That's got to be an inspiring building to play in. I don't care, for me, that inspiration would be at the United Center. Looking at Michael Jordan's numbers up there, that was the person that I looked up to when I was younger. So for me, looking up at seeing that 23, 33, like that would be the most inspiring building to play at. I know a lot of young hoopers. Everybody has hoop dreams who played basketball. Everyone dreamt of going to the NBA one day, and then most of us just ended up too short, too lazy, or too unlucky, or too undisciplined, or whatever. But I think all of us had a vision for the type of player we wanted to be, how tall we wanted to be, who we wanted to play up against, what building, what uniform, etc. Scottie's dreams had a lot to do, I'm positive, with purple and gold in terms of just seeing that style of basketball, all that stuff. So I'm not trying to speak for him. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason why in back-to-back visits to the crypto arena or whatever, Staples, that he's had such big performances. And I assure you, I think that the playoffs are a similar thing for him. I think year after year watching, Magic tapes or whatever from the playoffs, watching Kobe go through the playoffs, watching D Wade go through the playoffs, right? I mean, you got to understand, Scottie's a Florida kid, right? I mean, he was there when LeBron was there. D Wade was there, right? So watching all of that, you got to understand this is a guy who's been dreaming about the playoffs. So him getting into the play-in, him getting to the playoffs, you can expect him to show up. That's all I'll say tonight. Have a good night, y'all. And if you haven't subscribe. And if you haven't liked, then please like. Thank you so much, Oak Tree. I appreciate it. I will definitely check that out. Have a good one, guys. Good night.